Washington. It is Sunday, the 12th of May, 2019 at 9:48 a.m. We're resuming the interview of Monroe Lee. Monroe, yesterday we finished up in about 1990, and we, I think, got a little of the chronology out of order. We were trying to end up when you had your first legal encounter with Alachua County in 1990. And one of the things we talked about this morning, based on some news that I got about 45 minutes ago, was that we were talking about your life with your dogs, which you've kind of referenced so far today. Okay, if we start there and
go from fine.
There. All right. So we've talked before about the role of dogs and African Americans and how they've reacted to dogs over many years, and that you from a young age have had dogs, haven't been afraid of dogs. Is that correct?
So I always had dogs. That's the thing. I heard that.
You've owned dogs.
Always from a kid. Okay. That's exactly right.
So what I'm going to propose we do is we go back in time, not to talk about anything we've talked about already, but you've made reference to dogs a few times. And I'm just going to ask you to give me your first recollections of dogs. We're going to work up to 2019 and some of the issues you have with your dogs now. Did you ever talk to your family, your mother, your grandmother, any of the relatives you've talked about dogs? Did they have dogs? How did you come to own dogs as a black man in Alachua County? In Madison County?
Dogs are an important part of our culture. You know, being a mix of Cherokee Indian, and it's bloodline for 500 years, Cherokee and African, both of those groups that was together throughout the Southeast as I recollect my family history. So we use dogs from thousands of years for hunting, and all the way to my family, me. From 2 years old, I born on a turpentine still. I had a dog named Spot, and Spot just happened to be a female, and most people, they want only male dogs, but they don't understand. They take females to make all breeds of people, humans, birds. And so they decided that they would just take Spot away. At 2 years old, I remember this.
At the turpentine still?
Yeah, we were born, Conway Quarters.
Conway Quarters. Who was it that said they were going to take your dog away?
The family, it could be dad and mama. She going to come in the heat. They don't want the dog having sex in front of kids, they say, and stuff like that. So they took Spot way away. I think I remember I rode with them, maybe 8 miles. So, early in the country, he dropped Spot off. Spot was back in 2 days, back to the house.
He came back, or she came back?
Yeah, okay. Yeah. I don't think they did it about 2 times. She came back, they didn't take her back no more.
When you moved, you were about 4 years old when you moved away from the turpentine camp?
Right.
Did you have that dog then, still?
Seemed like I be a road man finally got Spot.
Okay, so let's talk about that phrase. What's a road man?
Road man, just like I said, my family white, black, and Cherokee Indian mix. So road men, just like anybody else, they want to live, and there's a lot of good road men, decent road men. That mean they European, most of them European. Some are foreign guys like Indians, and sometimes Jews. You couldn't tell a Jew. The Jew looked white, if he didn't tell you he was a Jew, you never know. But these people, some kind of way, they had access to the growing economy. Just like when the Civil War ended, I know about that, the carpetbaggers, they call them, people came down from the north, they said. But the roadman was kind of like descendant from that. He want to make it, and he might be just a farmer that's trying to pull himself up. There's a lot of decent roadmen, but it was some nasty roadmen. A nasty roadman is a man who see a boy, in my experience, we talking about dogs now, because I got other experiences with them, but boy, you got a nice dog there. That's what they always gonna call you. Yeah, I said, thank you, you talk to be mannerable. Boy, that's a nice dog. How about selling me that dog? I'll buy him from you. And you say, sir, I don't want to sell my dog. That's me. That's I think I was saying about Spot. So if you don't sell him that dog, he's known to run that dog over and kill it, or he's known to steal it. And that's just my experience with the road man. And he's a white man, you can do nothing about it. So that's my experience.
So I think I understand in the culture that I guess I grew up in, I think they call these people drummers. They went out and they were selling wares. Is that right?
Right.
Selling
Your
stuff.
bedding could be bedding, software, kitchenware, pictures of President Kennedy after he get killed. Something that's gonna move.
And
they pay so much a week on it. But they never
Right.
sometimes never pay for it.
one of the things I think that you and I have had in common that we've talked about is that your mother's family had been in Florida for a long time,
Yes.
and your father family, or your father, came down in 1905.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And his father, his
Right.
grandfather, came down, and so my grandfather also came in 1905 to Live Oak, and he was, you called him a roadman. I guess he was. He started a store in Jasper.
Mm-hmm.
called
Industrious. He was
called
industrious. Mm-hmm.
Washington and Bullard, and he would travel, this circuit and selling to us. Now I don't know if he sold to everybody, white and black. I don't know that, but the roadmen you're talking about, did they sell only to black folks, or did they?
Well, they hit all the neighborhoods who allow them in. Yeah, and then sometimes, like I say, some people, I don't allow them in here in my neighborhood. Some people might say that's some of the uppity whites, but roadmen, they sell anybody because some of them was, like I said, decent guys. It's just some of them got that thief in them. They gonna keep, like I say, one night this happened true. My mom and dad was gone, so this roadman, we call him Meanie. He shows up. He say, "All right, God, where's your mom and dad at?" I said, "Sir, they ain't here. You come on back when they here. And come on back in a decent hours because it's getting dusted out." He said, "I'm going to tell y'all, I'm just going to move the stuff out that I got in here." We say, "What's that?" He said, "I'm going to strip you of everything." He said, "Mister, if you don't get out this yard, if you don't put these pots and pans upside your head," all of us got pots and pans, he got away from the house. Yeah. Another one, I don't go too far off, but another roadman I remember, white guy, he this in the 60s, right? Come right close to the 70s, right at maybe 69. My stepdad, Mr. Charlie Harry, and he's dark as I am. My mama dog, but Mr. Charlie, he had his good legs, and he went down his leg before he died in his 80s. But he raking the yards. This roadman, he rolled up, and some kind of we had a disagreement. I don't know what it was about exactly, but I was a little kid standing over there. So Mr. Charlie, he known he don't want to shoot him, man. He like me. He like to kill him while he looking at him. So Mr. Charlie, when he was the roadman said this remark, called him a so and so whatever. Mr. Charlie break to go at him with a knife, and by the time he got his knife out, the roadman had his 38 up. So by God, Charlie, you better stop there now. So I don't want to kill you. Mr. Charlie break the run and get his 38. The roadman took off. He never came back to the neighborhood no more. Yeah, but I'm glad he didn't shoot my stepdad.
They call them roadmen because they came in on the road, I guess. That's
You're always traveling the road making money.
traveling the road.
Yeah,
Gotcha. Okay.
yeah, that's what that means.
All right. And so you think that maybe what happened to Spot? What was the next dog you remember having?
Oh, we moved across town. Like I say, I was 4, and it snowed that summer. I was coming on 5 years old that October. But soon after then, around about 58, 59, it's Pepper. Pepper, she was a female herself, and I remember when Pepper came in heat, Dad took her somewhere else to be bred because he didn't want the activity going around in front of the kids, and he brought her back just before she had the puppies. Yeah.
Okay. When's the next time? I mean, it sounds like you had many dogs over your childhood, correct?
Many, yeah.
Were they usually just mixed breed dogs?
Yeah, anything you come up, but I had some good dogs because sometimes good white folks will give you dogs, they had this dog, or they gave my older brother Cleo. He's Rex. He was a canine, pure canine dog. He like take the clothes off the line. The white people didn't like that. They hang the clothes out of Rex and just take the clothes off the line. So he gave Rex to Cleo, but Cleo was running behind his wife, they say, Colton. So I just took over the ownership of Rex because I was always a trainer for my kid.
How old were you when you took over Rex?
It must be about 9, 8.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, when you say a canine, you mean a German Shepherd?
Yeah, that means canine. Yeah, Shepherd. Yeah, that means he's police bred. Yeah, canine. Okay. But dogs also dogs canine. But when I say it, I'm talking about a particular Shepherd dog, like for the police use.
Okay.
Or a guard dog.
All right.
Or a service dog.
So, do you remember any specific instances? It's okay if you do or don't, but where not necessarily a roadman took your dog, but tried to get your dog from you? You remember some of those instances over the years?
Yes, I remember. Matter of fact, a little more harder one than this. I have my dad. Was half white and half black. He worked for the city, so he had access to a lot of different properties, working or whatever. But it was this nice mixed breed dog. Had some nice puppies. So Dad brought me one home, and automatically I said, Dad, where you got this dog from? Over there by the barn. The barn is where they break for lunch with city employees. Mm-hmm. So I found the location. I go and get another one. So the first one he had brought me, I called him Rip. So the one I went and got another male, I called them Kip. So Rip and Kip, I got two twin mixed breed little dogs, look like little shepherd mix, because they got a little black mauve. And I was just crazy about those dogs. And one weekend, I'm running around with my friend guys and Mr. Pryor, who's I think Kent, the lady that delivered me. You remember the lady that delivered me? And I told you that I had the veil on my face, and they said I was supposed to be the one, mm-hmm. different than all the other kids in the community. And I guess I'm the one. I think about that sometimes. But anyway, he got Mr. Pryor, and they drinking, having their little fun evidently. So Dad make a deal with him to sell him the one he brought me, Rip, which is my favorite one, for a hog dog. And
is a hog dog a dog that chases down hogs and
catch him, because he knew that he could do that. And I come home, and I found out Dad had got rid of my dog. I loved my dad, but I couldn't hate him for it. I just couldn't. I said, Dad, that's why you did me like that. He said, oh man, you still got one left. So that was a hard one there. And that was a black guy, but that was hard on me. He never did it again, but he was trying to do the man a favor. He figured this boy that went and got the one he want. Well, I could just do what I want with the one I brought him. That was kind of hard on me. But it's hard what I'm going through today.
Okay. So any other dogs over time you want to talk about before we get down to the present?
Any other dogs?
Dogs that you remember that you had issues with people trying to get or you lost?
Oh, yeah. Really, I had the worst case at Alachua County, but these collies, who they trying to take now from me?
Well, we'll jump ahead to the present, but anything else in the past from growing up?
I was going to talk about the bloodline, but what I'm saying is before I got those, I had this Chief Red Wolf. That's the first one Gainesville's Sun started following me on. They did an article, The Love of Man's Best Friend, that's the caption on it, 1999, that's Gainesville's Sun. And they got this dog standing up on the bed of the truck like a person with his paws on the cab of the truck, and he's going down 34th Street with his ears flagging, and that's the picture they show, Man's Best Friend. And it says, Monroe Lee of Alachua fixed his side bows up on the side of his truck to show his love and the safety for his animals. And that's what they have. So that same Red Wolf, I'm over in Alachua somewhere, and he's trained to go and come back to the truck. And some kind of way he didn't get back or whatever, Alachua County ended up with my dog. They neutered him, right? And I was so hurt, I thought he dead on the street, so, I never will see his body. In about 3 years, I'm down at Kangaroo Station at University in 13th Street. And just as I pull off on the station, I'm running down the road about 35. Here's this dog, Red Wolf, running beside me fast as he came with his tongue hanging out. And let me in this truck. So I pulled into, right down from McDonald's to a station that's closed now, like about 9 to 10. And I said, jump on. He jumped on there, and the others all so glad to see him. I said his wife, was these dogs and great-grandmama. And when he jumped on, he didn't have any testicles, they had nothing new to my dog. I said, that's Alachua County butchery again. And he had about a $50 collar on his spike collar. And then I looked at a paper. This is true. A philanderer, they call them the Pugh who give money. Mm-hmm. A big millionaire lady on a ranch down in Ocala. She's in the Gainesville Sun or some article with my dog, and she hugged up with him in the article. So that's
this is before he came back to you.
I had the paper already in the charges collection, and I said, "Whoa, that's you!" So they had sold him to her or whatever. That's Alachua County.
Was the dog's name Red Wolf or?
Chief Red Wolf.
Chief Red Wolf.
Chief Red Wolf.
All right. And was he a mixed breed dog?
He was like a golden retriever, but the guy, he looked like a golden retriever. You could see him on that picture. You got a picture of him. But anyway, the guy says his mama was a canine or something, but just a golden retriever, might have been his dad or whatever. He was red, but
When did you first get a collie dog? Collies are You called to me. I don't know what you mean by it. You told me those are white people dogs. What do you mean by that?
Oh, collies, that's the kind of dog Lassie is on TV, right? So really, blacks been had them all the time, but it's just some white people that I know just focus on getting every collie out of a black person's hand because no black person is good enough for Lassie. I mean, that's what they think. I mean, the average one. But, you know, the average person, white person, I mean, they got to be really trained to just say, I'm going to treat a black person right. But the average black person right now, and that's what's so painful about my episode now with these dogs, you mean to tell me for 500 years you done bred me? That means the people who did do it, not all white peoples now. Those Confederates who fighting so hard against me have bred my people, inbred and all this stuff, made family go with family to make more babies for the farm. I know this happened. Okay, now, you telling me now I'm not good enough to have a dog. So now the first collie I remember having, it's true, 1960, yeah, that's Nancy Bone, right after Nancy Bone, 62. I said 62 because Ricky Bone that year. We ran there Paramount Street to my grandma's house that she had built from the cotton fields. And through our yard, a crew of people who walked, they paid bolito, they called it Cuba back then because the number come out of Cuba. But they say Cuba, you play Cuba because you get these numbers match up and you go win money. That's the lottery then, the illegal lottery. But the black men who wrote those numbers, nobody never did rob them. I noticed that. So it got to be somebody who really knows something because ain't nobody never robbed a Cuban man, not that I know of. If he did, he was dead. They never found his body. But anyway, these people's patrons will walk through our yard to this other guy's house. I say, Mr. Charlie. And they would play these numbers. Charlie Jones, I think his name. But anyway, he'll play these numbers. And the big people, they get these numbers and then you win, you get $7 a hit. That's $10 a win, you $7 and 3 times that on up. My mama hit it big. Her number was 45 and 54. She played it backwards. That was what happened. But these people are coming through our yard. So I have this collie, because that's what you asked me about, this collie dog. And I was crazy about my little collie because he's Lassie, Lassie puppy. And one morning I wake up, my little dog gone. And I mean, I was hurt. I said, somebody done stole my little collie because everybody coming through the yard. And
what was the dog's name again?
It was a collie. I don't remember the name.
Okay.
I want to be honest about it. We talking about 62.
Okay.
So that'll be 59 years ago, 57 years ago. So maybe they had to get a chance to name him because I'm going to tell you what happened. About a day or so later, I'm walking through the alley. This was so amazing now. That's what I'm telling you.
It's off of Paramore Street?
No, I'm down at my grandmama's house now. You remember? Yeah, Paramount Street, but I'm going through the alley now. That's going back down.
Okay.
And it's so amazing that this is true. The exact same spot when I died those 3 times at Shane. I know I died. They know I died. And when I come back,
You're talking about last year?
Yeah.
Okay.
When they're taking the dogs from me. This is true. So when I come back down, one of the first episodes, when I come back after I had died, the guy was on Eagle Wings. This is true. People may think I'm crazy, but this is true fact. I'm coming down on Eagle Wings, right in this swamp where I find this dog at, because I'm going to tell you what, y'all didn't tell you what happened. So one day I was walking through that same swamp area, and I look over there and where they dig baits at. I can see it right now, just as plain. And they go my little dog in there, they gut it. They gut him like you gut a hog, like you gut a chicken or whatever. Yeah, he laying there, little pretty collie puppy about that long. I never forgot that. And that's the same spot I'm landing in when I come back alive. And that's why I know this is meant to be.
All right, Monroe. It's okay. It's okay.
I know that this is all God's work. And I'm going to tell you, dogs, they going to rot just like we are. But this dirt the Confederacy is doing for 500 years. This is the man that came to the dungeons, got with the people's drinking and partying like the blacks are doing. That's what's so painful to me. Doing blunts, doing Molly, every kind of drug you can imagine. They want to get high. And this happening right here in Gainesville, Florida. Been there since 1991 at my foundation. Seeing the kids, every nationality, they want to get high. They want to party. They want to steal from the black man. It's painful. So back to that. That's my dog right there. You see the little puppy laying there. And it's the same dog that I see in the dream that they got now laying in the middle of the road in front of Kirby Smith School. So when I come through, I say, well, it's something I got to do. So when later on God say, now you go there and you preach. Let these people know what I did for you. For 9 miles, I prayed. People's calling, he crazy. All he doing is hollering. But if I'm hollering for God and these dogs, it's for the will of God. I think about Psalm 90. Psalm 90, 9-0. Moses said, because of glad that he was afflicted. That mean this dirt the Confederacy is doing to me. Something gonna come out of this, because the dog's gonna die one day. They gutted my dog. They tested them, neutered them. That mean if you get dogs from us, you'll come back and get more, because we got a game going. See, this ain't nothing but a game going. These Confederate lawmakers in Tallahassee been sent there by these other Confederates, and they take it right to make laws to hate the poor man. And that's what I thank Jesus Christ for. Because one day, all this dirt they doing ain't going to even matter. But it's a breed of people, this Confederacy. They putting in the little children every day. Who's spending the little children? You better than this and you better than that one. These blacks ain't no good. But the blacks now built the country for you. And there's some black leaders, I can name them by name right here in the county, elected. What it is, ain't nothing but a game. The chestnuts. You can name peoples who the Confederacy got here. You my boy. And the granddad and I bred him and told him, say, I'm your daddy. Don't you forget that. You defend it. You send it for me. You carry out what they doing up there. You go wrong with what they doing. You just get paid. But I'm telling them, like I told that commissioner, stuff we doing today is come back on your children. You might do dirt today like David did in the Bible. His children pay for generations. They paying for it now, what their daddy did. You think this stuff goes away, what you doing. You keep on doing this dirt. Go ahead on, Mr. Washington. I'm sorry.
That's all right, bro. So try to make a little sense of this for people who might be listening to it. I want to go back to your story about this dog in '62, just to clear it up. You're talking, and I'll get back to the main thing that really is bothering you, and I think it's important to get into that. But you were talking about Cuba Man, Bolita. I know that from Live Oak. I've got a picture of my grandfather who ended up, after he was a roadman, I guess, he became a druggist, they used to call him. And he used to have a store where, I'm trying to think of the white man's name. He was elected president of the state senate, but he was killed in 1953 by Ruby McCullum. And her husband. I remember the story. I read of it. Her husband was a Bolita man.
Right, Sam.
And Sam, that's right, Sam. And I think he was from Ocala.
McCullum.
I think he was originally.
I know his son. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Ocala, but the Bolita in those days was Cuba had AM radios, and it would travel far, and they would talk about. It's kind of like the lottery we have now.
I remember.
But when you call him a Cuba man, it was somebody who's selling tickets for that lottery that was coming out of Batista's Cuba, and I guess after Castro took over, they still did it. That's all I know.
Yeah, they did. I seen it up in the 70s, the 80s.
But anyway, getting back to the dogs, so that's kind of how I met you again after all those years, and so without trying to make it intelligible so people could understand this, on June 4th of 2018, I was representing a client in an issue involving dogs, and I wanted to see how these cases were prosecuted. And the client that I had was trying to help a dog, and I got one of the county commissioners to go over with me to the courthouse where there was a case being tried, and it was your case. We came into the courtroom, and I'm hearing Alachua County present evidence against you, justifying taking away your dogs. And so I'm bringing this to the present, and you, as I understand it, ended up in Alachua County. You have a house in Perry now, right? Perry, Florida.
Right.
Which is, you said, I think 37 miles south of Madison.
Right.
How far?
Southwest. Mm-hmm.
Southwest
of Madison, because it was Gulf of Mexico.
Okay.
Yeah.
How far is Perry from Gainesville?
About 80 or 90, because where you go, right at 100. Mm-hmm.
So my understanding was that sometime in early April of last year, you were down in South Florida, and part of your ministry that you've talked about is going into nursing homes. Is that correct?
Right.
Okay. And you had, at that time, you had 4 dogs with you, and I have their names, but if you want to say what they were, four dogs.
No, 6 dogs.
6 dogs.
Right.
Sorry. Four
collie
dogs.
Yeah, right.
Okay. And so you had come from Perry, and you were down in South Florida going to nursing homes. So what do you do in the nursing home with your animals then?
Well, I pray for them and let them come by in the wheelchairs and like a therapeutic. I let them see the birds and get the dogs come in and all like that and go in all areas of the sanctuary. But this particular case I was doing down there to elderly family members. I was ministering to them and, you know, hospital visits and getting them to the hospital and so forth. But I can track the MRSA through a Walmart buggy.
We're going to get to that.
Okay.
The dogs. Can we take a break here where I can get some water?
That's fine.
You can put this down there.
Okay. Thank you. Got it. All right. So, as I came to understand it, I didn't know it that day in court, June 4th, but you had been in South Florida and you had been making your way back north. Is that right?
Right.
Okay. And you had 4 parakeets. Were they parakeets?
Right.
And 6 dogs with you.
Right.
Now these dogs live in Perry. Is that correct?
Right.
And they described the house that you have in Perry and where they're kept and so forth.
Oh, actually, believe it or not, I call it the house. I call the house their house because I got a big front porch. Right, it's probably 24 by 12 feet porch. They got access to it. They got a little door they could go right in and out on the porch, and they got a back porch too. They can't come in the house, but I don't let them sleep in the house per se. But they got access to go in the house if they wanted to per se. And they're very clean dog. Also, I got a cage area for the birds. I had it like you can stay on the porch, feed the birds if you need to, but the cage is movable. Because, the cages, I could take them into the hospital. I had a little small cage for transferring. Then I had one permanent cage that's on the truck to kind of stay there for art, like. But the cages can be. Then I had windshields for it, too. I have windshields for it. Then I have a compartment. See, I have this case, the truck is specially designed. That's another thing, too. That the average person would think, oh, this is a junkie truck. It's loaded with junk. It's 2 water-cooled beds to the bottom and several electrical fans. And I have PVC pipes in a geometric way that if I wanted to, if I got somewhere where it's 107 degrees going through El Paso or going through Phoenix, I could run water through the pipes if I wanted to. That's emergency procedure. That's for extra cooling if I did that, if I was making a long trip somewhere. But anyway, I have a second compartment area that I could almost stand up in because the truck is that tall for the birds. You could put the birds in the cage, the whole cage inside. Yeah.
Okay. So the dogs live in Perry, and when you go on the road with them, you have
To nursing homes, yeah.
You have your truck as a temporary quarters for them.
And I only take several of them. I never take the whole crowd. And if you remember how I ended up with the whole crowd per se, I only had 2 with me as my traveling, the guard dogs, because I was running for political office. The college stayed home. I mean, they guard the yard. They run around the yard, they guard the house, and nobody never stole anything from me. But what happened, one of the Brian by name Animal Control, who know me well, called me on the telephone and said, Mr. Lee, your dogs, your collies were out. I told them to go back in the fence. They went back in.
This is in Taylor County?
In Perry, yeah.
Perry, okay.
So he called me in Tallahassee, told me that he had told them to go back in. So I went and got them, and that's how I ended up with them in the South Florida.
So the original, we had 2 dogs and 4 parakeets, and you had all 6 with you down there.
Yeah, I normally have just a couple of them going to the nursing home, or either target a group,
Okay. So while you were down there going to the nursing homes, you went to Walmart, and that's where this whole story starts, in Walmart. In what town?
Boynton
Beach. What happened in Walmart?
When I get there, as I say, I'm on the way out, and I'm getting ready to come back. I went to, a matter of fact, I seen the sticker today out of my truck where I kept from the hospital. I went to DRA Medical Center, pray for my sister-in-law who had a leg amputated. And anyway.
Is that Cleo's wife?
Yeah, okay. she lost a leg, And so after I went to during the time, just before I left, because I was going to leave 4 in the morning, or that morning, the 6th. So I went to Boynton and I had this 22-year-old young lady that I was saying going to take over the foundation, and I kept communication with her all through that Easter, which was on the 1st of April. So I went and bought 2 beach towels, one for myself and one for her. to take tour because I was going up to Thomasville. So as I was putting the items into the buggy, because I'm sitting in an electric cart, the bottom of my arm, it just straight one of the vertical welds. Now welder, when you have two tangible pieces or members of the structure, whatever it might be, a basket in this case, you're supposed to sand it down, file it down so it's smooth. But it had just enough edge to break the skin on my arm, and I seen a little blood there. Matter of fact, I got the sticker that was on the towel, and my blood stain still on. And I just happened to find it the other day, and I said, "Well, it's just that sticker from that towel I bought, and the blood is still on it now." When it tore my arm. So now, did I answer your question?
It did. And so, how long did it take before that wound started causing you problems?
As I left Delray Beach that evening, I guess it's the 5th, going into the 6th. All right, I had a mechanical breakdown between Orlando and a little town called Christmas on Highway 50, which is the road run right into Titusville. So when I broke down, I did this normal procedure, do a prayer. I asked God to get you out because it's after 12 at night. So I prayed, and the truck cranked up. So I had, by that time, I started feeling like a little sweat, a little tightness. It was just tightening up. So I'm
You're heading back to Perry?
I'm heading back to Gainesville because I'm coming to Gainesville.
Okay,
I'm coming to Gainesville, yeah. That's where I was coming. So, but eventually to Perry, automatic melting could stop here. So anyway, I broke down again right outside a little town called Mount Dora, Florida. So I had my last AAA tow. So they pulled me into Leesburg. So I'm standing there now. I'm really feeling the pressure, and now I'm trying to mash it because it's like a bump be on you, and you can mash it.
Scar on your arm, isn't it? I'm looking.
Yeah, that's where the lens.
That's it.
That's
right
it.
there?
That's the lancet. Because right now it was just a little hole at the time I'm telling you about. Yeah.
That's what you injured at Walmart.
No. It was just a little hole there, but they had to cut it and
When you got in the
that's where the
hospital.
scar
We're
is.
getting
Yeah.
ahead of ourselves.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So as I was saying, so I'm talking to this young mechanic they call Bird there on Beecher Street in Leesburg, right? Alfonso Bird. And I said, Bird, man, that's what I called him. I said, like a spider that bit me here, man, on my arm. And I can't get no pulse out of it because, because a lot of times you mash your bump or rising or something like that, you can get some of the ingredients to come out, to see what you got going on. And nothing was coming out, but it's still a little hole, like a little needle. And he said, Mr. Lee, the younger guy than I am, he's crazy about me. People were dying here in Florida last year from spider bites. He said, I recommend you go to the hospital, not emergency room now. People were dying here. Man, I want to see you here. He put down a plea to me, and he kind of scared me up pretty good. So I said, well, you better listen to the young man. So I said, you don't have no resources here in Leesburg for these dogs. And they had not called the police on me already there to try to take those dogs before. Yeah, they see me out there with them, and they call the animal control. They come at cages and all. College, black guy got collies out here. He letting them run the streets, letting them run in the parking lot. You got to take them from him. Yeah, they came to get him. But that's when Officer Proctor signed my truck running for governor the 3rd time. He said, nothing wrong with your truck. You work for J. Hill, right in Interstate 75. Nothing wrong with your truck, Mr. Lee.
You saw him this last trip in 2018?
Oh, I talked to him about the dog case.
Afterwards?
During two.
Okay.
He knew they was coming at me. Yeah, he knew they was coming at me because he's Leesburg, Lake County.
But he was a friend. He's a friend. You liked him. He
liked me because my style and my Pennsylvania.
So he's trying to help you with the dogs.
Oh, he did help me. He told them to leave me alone.
Okay.
Yeah, they was trying to take him, and he told them, "There's nothing wrong with Mr. Lee's dog." That's Deputy Proctor. That had happened before this.
Okay.
See, and so that's what I'm saying is, I knew that they take every chance they get to take those dogs from me. So I'm thinking, if I go to Leesburg Hospital, I could possibly die in there too. They might let me die. They might have the right stuff for me and what's going on with the spider. That's all I'm thinking of spider. So now I leave Bird, who's working on the truck once he got it cranked. I go to the park. This is the kicker. Hell, make me fight so hard for these dogs. I want to fight so hard for them. When I get there to the park, I let them out. And I say, Beefy Bear. Now, this finger here, you can see a little deformity to it. It got mashed off. This whole tip of the finger. I'm trying to help a guy out with a legal matter, and he just bucking against me. And I'm trying to close the door to keep him falling out, and I mashed this finger off, so it's hanging off. People say, go to the doctor to get stitches. So I'll just do home remedies, and the dogs will lick it. They got some kind of healing medication in the tongue. So Beefy Bear would lick it. So you see that came back. So I said, Beefy, come in and lick this here. And like he cursed me out and took off running. He wasn't coming near this arm. And I said, oh, Lord, I am poisoned. That's when I really get scared, then when the dog don't come near it. So that's why I'm fighting so hard for these dogs. That's why I got emotional just now. So look what happened then. I get the dogs on the truck now because I'm figuring I'm dying. I said, if I don't die in an hour, Shan saved me when I drunk that bad water in Mexico, that amoeba they call it. You know, I told you I was eating my liver out, and I just did get here in time back from California in Mexico. And
That's where we stopped off last time. We're starting up again. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So what happened is, when I'm driving to Gainesville, the truck break down again at Orange Height and Reddit, somewhere in there, right? And that's hot. So now this arm is really feeling tight now. And I'm, Lord, I always was praying, man. I prayed, and the sun is up real nice. I'm right beside a big ranch. So I called in the tow, and they said, you have no more tows, but we'll get you the best deal we can. Then she said, $100 a hookup. I said, I need to get to Gainesville.
Now, where are you, down in Reddick?
Yeah, Reddick and Orange Park.
Okay, that's about, what, 30 miles, 25 miles south of Gainesville?
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah. So the guy come on, I had $100 for me. And I said, I got some more money in the ATM. Came up by the bank and got the rest of it out. He said, I'm going to give you a break. I just charge you $150 or something like that.
You're trying to get to Shan's in Gainesville. That's why you're getting towed.
Yeah, but now I go to Nelson House.
Okay.
I won't go to Shan right away. I get to Nelson and check the truck out. So I'm telling Nelson what's going on with his son, speculating on what it could be and that. So I'm still trying to get pus out. I don't get no pus out. So Nelson get the truck cranked. And I said, well, I'm running out to Shan, but I'm going to go by Burger King. That's what I said to myself, and get me a burger. So then when I get the Burger King, backing in my little pocket slots, because it's back in so that way I can pull out. That way I don't have to be watching people coming behind me with all this stuff on the truck. So when I back in, it cut off again. I said, oh no, it's a sign here. So I called Nelson back and said, Nelson, I need to get to the hospital. He and his son promptly came and got me. I thank God for him now. He took me to the hospital. I said, I got this. I walked back to my truck. Just don't come back at me.
So you're thinking they're going to treat it really quickly.
Yeah, and get some antibiotics.
Let you out. Okay.
Yeah. And that's amazing. And you just ain't got the hospital, understand, from a blind episode, but this is what happened. The 6th. I'm in the hospital. That's Friday night.
April 6th.
April 6th, yeah.
Okay.
So listen to this. I'm sitting up in the emergency, and they come out there and examine. I told them what I think, what the guy said about the spider bite, and they looking at the arm. And this guy, I just thank God for him now, the emergency room technician, he come there, and the nurse was looking, they look, she say, look at there. And they say, mister, as dark as you are, that little spot is red right around there. And then that doctor come over, I thank God for him, that technician or whatever. He said, he has glove on, he said, and it's warm too. And it's something going on in it. He said, you think I'm going to stick a needle in that? That's what he said. I probably send poison, whatever it is, all through his body. I'm not going to stick the needle in that. So they came and put the IV on me. So they dripping me. Everybody, I'm trying to giving jokes to the young white kids over there, telling them how to pray and all that there. I'm thinking, I get my antibiotics and get on out of here. And they just kept working on me. And they come out, your white blood cells are way up. I said, really? I'm still ain't worried. I always say, God, I say, I done did what you said. I done preached these, right then, it was going on 40 years, but it was 30s, 39. I said, I did what you say do. I ain't running the streets, I ain't sold nobody drugs. I'm saying all that to God. I said, well, I did what I could do. If you take me out, look how good you've been to me. All these other times I almost been dead. Yeah, I was saying all that. So I went on in there, and finally they say, we taking you up or down or whatever. It must be up, because I went 7 floors. And they had the IV drip on me. So that morning, this the kicker. Now, the 7th of April, a little doctor come in. He didn't come to when I subpoenaed him, but Eric, that's his name. Alachua, whatever his name, but I could get the proper name for him. He's standing there, the bedside assistant there, another bedside assistant, he's standing looking at me like I'm already dead, kind of like. He said, Mr. Lee, we don't know quite what's going on with that arm there, but, and then, the nutritionist,
okay.
This lady who feeds you. She's standing there, she said, well, Mr. Lee, she had me a card, say, fill out what you want to eat the next 3 days. That's the kicker. I said, what? I said, oh, no. My pressure went up. I said, my dog's on the truck. Alachua County is the meanest people in this county here about dogs and animals, especially with me. They've been stealing my dogs forever. I said, I'm going to go get my dogs now, take them on the ranch, and come back to this hospital. That lad, I could look at his eyes, got that big. He said, Mr. Lee, you don't understand. He said, you are dying. He said, if you leave this hospital, You come back, you could be dead, or we got to take your arm off. So now that's a decision I got to make now. He said, but if you stay in this hospital and get treated, we'll let social service come and talk to you about your animals. So sure enough, within an hour or so, Courtney come. Very professional little black gentleman, looked kind of like me really. He come in there from social service. He says, Lee, what we got going on here? And I told him what was going on. I say, well, they talking about 3 more days in here, man, but I got dogs in the truck, and there's some nasty people here about dogs, and they don't want a black man with no collars, man. I got 4 collars in that truck and my birds, man. I say, if I leave them dogs in, they find them. I say, I'm gonna be up a creek, man. I say, I just can't stay here. He said, Mr. Lee, they done told me that your situation, you dying, and they trying to save you. But if you stay in this hospital, get treatment, they said, say, I'm gonna do what I can and get social services to call Burger King, tell Burger King that you're in the hospital and that they tow your truck, and they'll come in and get your animals for you and get notified animal control. That what he assured me. So I was happy pretty much.
What was he was gonna call Burger King and they would call animal control?
He was gonna call all of them from what I
Okay.
understood. From what I understood. Yeah.
Now, was that Courtney?
Yeah, not pinning on Burger King to call them, because that'd make it look like they called him.
Right.
He was gonna call, and he did call. I'm sure he did. I'm satisfied he did. So okay, that gave me a little assurance. So that's Saturday. Then shortly after then, that's when the dying episode have no 3 times dying. But anyway, to make this very extraordinary, well, very important stipulation. Right after
We're talking about Saturday, April 7th.
That same
April
day, yeah.
7th,
Yeah,
2018.
right. That young lady, she must be from the Caribbean, because you could tell people from the Caribbean got this accent. Could be from Africa, but she got that dialect. And she said, I'm keeping it clean because I know I'm on video here. What the hell? And by that time, the sky just got blacker than me. The whole sky gave me.
This is afternoon, sometime in the afternoon.
Yeah,
Okay.
and it was just lightning and thunder. And I'm on the 7th floor. You can see it was just all total darkness. And I often think about the time when Jesus was crucified. I see darkness over the land. I don't think about that now. But that's when I died them 3 times. Come back on the eagle wing, and I saw that little gutted puppy in the swamp there. And some more
That's when you had this vision of what
Coming
happened back in '62.
Yeah, when I come back in the swamp, that's where I came back at.
Right.
In the same swamp that the dogs was at in '62. Your little puppy gutted. So that let me know it was gonna be something about these dogs I was out to fight. That's what all I could say. God was telling me that's what. And see, that's what makes this extraordinary with these dogs. I done ran away from these people. I ran away to Mexico. You remember I tell you I was gonna come back. I would have died because I drunk the water. I would have died down in Veracruz. I didn't make it all the way there. And this time right here, it's so many times I done left, but I ended up coming right back here. I was going to Hawaii several times, just to get away from Alachua County and not come back. But some keep bringing me back here, look like, for me to face these people.
All right. So that afternoon, you lost consciousness again 3 times. You said that day.
I went out. I'm sure I was dead. Yeah.
And then when you came to, your understanding was you thought your dogs were safe?
Yeah, exactly right. And that Sunday, now that's when Nelson, because he can't communicate with me, because I told him to go check on those dogs, see that they get them. He come out, he called me Ro. He said, Ro, your car is still on the back of the truck. I said, what? And that's when I called Courtney again. But now, where Courtney is, it's that Sunday. Yeah, it's still, because the girl ain't came yet. So I called, and I raised some pretty good saying. I told him, like I'm going to get out here and get these dogs myself, because my dogs and birds still in that truck. So I said, Mr. Lee, we're going to call again. So evidently they called again, but they didn't come get the dogs again to that Monday, I think, wasn't it? It seemed like. They got one that Sunday, didn't they? So
That's what the records later showed.
Yeah, okay. They got that one.
But you're thinking your dogs are all taken care of.
Right, until that.
So how long was it before you got out of the hospital? When did they let you out?
4 days, let me see, I look at 4 to 5 days of treating them, so they say if I went to 6. So about the 11th look like, yeah, because the 12th, that's when I went out there. I think I started communicating with them about trying to get my dog the 12th of that April.
Okay.
And then,
all right, and so when you communicate with them, you're talking about Alachua County Animal Services.
Yeah, because they had told me I had to the 15th.
Now, you showed me a certificate of appreciation that you made for them. Tell me about that.
Oh, that's another thing was so amazing too. I was just feeling kind of exuberated, shall I say, that I had lived through the episode, beating the Mercer. I'm out alive. And then I reflected back on 40 years of me being here about this guy had this dynamite, true fact, and wanted to kill this woman, but if
I know
yeah.
about surviving, you're saying.
Yeah, about all that. So I wrote all that up in a memo, and that's what you asked about. That's why I'm focusing on that. And I said, out of all Alachua County did to me, all in the memo, and Freddie Edwards killed my dog, Alachua County, but I still keep looking up. And then I said, I'm going to give everybody, out of all that, I think I've been blessed to be here. See, and then I gave everybody a certificate.
You're alive, and you're happy to be alive.
And I want to give everybody a certificate for looking out for my dogs. The police department, I gave them one, Animal Control, Shands Hospital, and Burger King. All four of them, I gave them certificates. But I guess that angered them looked like to me.
So on April 12th, you go out to pick up your dogs. Now, before you do that, there was a notice on the window of your truck, right?
Right, saying I could claim them by the 15th.
Said you could claim them. And it said, as I recall, it said something like, all you got to do is show your identification,
right,
and show that the dogs have rabies shots.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
which they had been. Mm-hmm.
Now, before we go, so your rabies shots were current on all the dogs when you went into the hospital, correct? Now, you told me that you take them to a vet in Perry, is that right? A veterinarian yet?
Yeah,
okay.
That's one of them. Right?
And one of them. So you also have some connection with a vet with these people at Florida A&M.
Florida A&M University, right? Florida A&M vets there. Mm-hmm.
You get and so these dogs, you treat them regularly.
Right.
It's all right. And so you went to Animal Services on the 12th with the certificates of appreciation, and you thought you were going to pick up your dogs. What happened?
They seemed to want to stall me. They kept stalling. I mean, for hours and hours, and that was pretty much proof for the last episode we went through. Sanders saw go out there with this Ed Williams, director. They got these cameras out. They watching you in there. So these people see me out there sitting for those hours and hours, waiting or whatever. Like they just using me as a guinea pig. Look like, you know, just giving one excuse after another. He'll be back there. It's Ed Williams, and he'll give them different things to do and say to me. And I didn't know it just didn't add up, so it kept on going on for quite a while, about 3 weeks. I don't know if you want me to go that far yet.
Monroe, you took the certificate of appreciation out. Did you give it to them?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And they just didn't tell anything about the dogs? Said come back? Is that
they kept saying, the investigator gonna call you. And that's when I really got suspicious. Investigator gonna call me, investigator.
Did they ever call you?
No, she didn't call. She had called the hospital to see was I dead them several times. Yeah.
How do you know that?
They finally let me spoke to her.
Okay, so let's go back. Let's go back in time. So you had someone call you from Animal Control. Did they tell you any reason to believe you couldn't get your dogs?
No, she want to know what's the address on your driver's license.
Okay,
that's her investigation.
All right, and the address on your driver's license is Perry, right?
Right.
Okay, and so April 12th, April 13th, April 14th, April 15th, April 16th, April 17th, April 18th, April 19th, April 20th, April 21st, April 22nd, April 23rd, April 24th, April 25th, April 26th. What happened on April 27th? What did you do at that point?
I'm really growing weary now because I know these people saying avoid giving this dog back, giving any conversation about my dogs. And I thought back on the earlier breed of dogs that it took from me, which is the same bloodline. And I just knew that they was going for broke to get me out of the dog situation.
What did you do then?
So as I said, I kept going back out there. So then I went head on and filed me a lawsuit for them to return my dogs. They kind of shed laughing, and I explained to the court that.
Before you go on to the court, April 27th, what did you do? You've been in Gainesville all this time. How did you have money to file a lawsuit?
Well, I filed on an endangered status there.
Okay.
Yeah, because it was costing so much money to live away from the house and eating out and all like that. But anyway, I know I had to do something, so I went on and filed a lawsuit for the return of my animals.
To force the animals
to
come back to you. And so did you try, after doing that, did you try to get the animals back?
Oh, I constantly went out, went to see the dogs, and they said we cannot let you see the dog because of what happened. They kept throwing, and that's another thing that caused me.
Before you go on, let's not jump ahead. So, at some point, did they not believe that you'd filed the lawsuit?
Well, I went out one day and gave them a copy of it. Actually, I got a copy of the receipt because I got a copy from the court, and I paid for the copy. So I took them a receipt, and I think the front page that I was suing them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, a week later, a few days later, let's deal with your memory of when you learned. When after that did you learn that they were going to try to take your dogs away from you legally? When did you find out?
Oh, I on one of those mysterious out to the animal control to force them a hand to let me get the dogs back, or let me see them at least. And this guy come out by the name of Fox. He got this Stonewall type attitude.
What does that mean, a Stonewall type attitude?
We can't let you see the dogs. And I said, why? Cause of what happened. I said, cause of what happened. Because of a pending case against you in court before a judge to take the animals from you. I said, really? I said, well, how am I going to know that if I wasn't in here? So I went back to the court then and asked the young lady behind the teller machine to seem to look on there and see.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, and so yeah. I'm telling you what I later found out after a meeting in court. So on the 7th of May, almost a month after they'd taken your dogs, after you'd filed suit against them to get those dogs back, they decided that you were a danger to the dogs, and they filed something to take the dogs away from you. Is that correct?
Yeah, some Chevy, yeah.
And
Chevy,
you found that
kangaroo,
out.
yeah.
And you found that out because you went yourself to look and see
right.
that this was filed.
Right.
Because of what Mr. Fox told you.
Right. Yeah, because what Fox said. Yeah, I went to the courthouse.
All right. And so, Monroe, you're not a lawyer, but somehow you got subpoenas for the people at Shands and at Animal Control. How did that happen? To get them to come to the court to tell what happened?
I applied myself, do my little experience I've had, know how to get the subpoena forms and send them out, get them executed through indigent status.
All right. And the only way that you knew about a hearing was because you went yourself, correct, and saw in the court?
Right.
Okay. And so the June 4th was your hearing, correct?
Right.
All right. Now, that's the first time, as far as I know, that I saw you between when we were working in the melon fields in 1965 in Hamilton County and June 4th, 2018. Now, I came in the courtroom. You didn't see me or the county commissioner I brought with me. I guess you didn't see us come in.
Right,
correct?
right.
All right. I left after hearing the presentation of the case against you, and I heard two things. One, that your animals were in the back of the truck and that the water that was there for them was not potable, and that I guess it was crowded space or something. And I heard that the bird cage that you had the animals in, if that bird cage was on the roof while you were driving, that could injure the birds. That's all the case I heard. And then I left, the county commissioner left, and at that point, I didn't know anything. I said, well, they haven't proven the case. Don't know what's happening. The week passed. I've got somebody else who's got problems with the animal control, and I'm trying to figure out how these cases work. And so finally, I looked to see if there's an order. What happened in your case? I didn't know. But surely, I didn't hear what your evidence was, but I didn't see that they had made a case against you. And so I got on the phone, I looked in the court file, and I saw your number, and I called you, and I explained that I'm representing somebody else. I'm not representing you. But I'm just curious as to know what happened. If you've got a lawyer, have them talk to me. You said you didn't have a lawyer. I said, so understand that I'm not on your side. I'm just trying to find out what happened because it will help another client that I have. And then you told me the story about what happened with your animals at that point. But you told me the court had ruled against you because the judge had told you that, right?
Right.
And you told me you had asked where you could appeal and you'd gone upstairs to try to appeal, but you hadn't appealed yet.
Right.
Because you didn't have an order.
Right.
And so I said, Mr. Lee, I don't represent you. I don't know anything about your case, but I want to find this out, and thank you for talking to me. I didn't know that we'd worked in the melon fields together then because I hadn't seen you. We hadn't talked. But as soon as I find out that orders, I'll let you know, and you need to get an attorney to represent you. I can't represent you. I think there may be a conflict because I've got another client. At that point, I did call you back when I saw the order, and I read you the order. What was your recollection after that?
After you talked to me that day, or you started from that day?
That day when I told you that here's the order, and you need to get an attorney, and I don't represent you. And you were talking about coming back to Alachua County to fight your case.
Right.
And I think I may have given you some advice. Well, look, this order says your dogs have been forfeited. You can never own another dog or another animal of any kind for the rest of your life. And you owe us $2,600. And I think I cautioned you that your truck could be garnished and taken away from you.
Right.
But that you had 30 days to appeal, and they shouldn't do anything within that 30-day window. At that point, you tried to start trying to get an attorney. You went to Three Rivers Legal Services. You went to the 8th Judicial Circuit Bar Association Pro Bono, who was representing Southern Legal Counsel. Didn't get any help. You went to the county commission how many times to ask them to get you a lawyer?
I stayed on them, or just say, for example, I started the next month. Had to be July. That that's the next month after the trial. I stayed on them every commission meeting, every meeting that inadvertently in between. Matter of fact, I labeled it to the time Moses went to Pharaoh in the Bible. And matter of fact, and I started counting the other day, and I went beyond that. It's approaching, 24 times almost. But I know it's been a good 12, 12 episodes where I pleaded for them in the commission meetings, all the way through.
And nobody was helping you. You're pro se. You asked me to at least help you do what's necessary to keep your case alive.
Right.
And I told you I'm not representing you.
True.
I talked to my client. She was okay with me helping you, but not representing you.
Right.
And so at that point, you stayed in Gainesville to try to get your animals back. And you've kind of exhausted your money. Where are you sleeping during this time?
Oh, that's so extraordinary. And that would make me think God is involved with this. I know He's involved with our lives, so knowing that I've once been dead so many times. However, from that latter part of June, coming on back here, after you found out what was online, I slept on a bench. It's true, under 3 umbrellas. Started out with 2 umbrellas. They 5-foot span, so they could cover a 10-foot area good. So I'm only 5'7". So this is true. I slept under that bench because I sat up on it for the first month. When I'm just exhausted from sitting up somewhere looking at the people. That's what I do, look at people. I've been doing that for years because I had so many auto accidents that I can't sleep in. And being an architect too, it's just like I'm up late at night. So I would go to the bench 4 or 5 after everything's exhausted down. It's kind of like you don't want to sleep too much. You don't want nobody to rob you. But one day I'm riding, I come up on a bicycle. I got a bike. And this is true. I'm riding now on by 9th and right down from the bank of American Bank of America. And I see a pile of stuff out there. So I see the beautiful color picture of the mountains, the Ozark Mountains in a glass frame. So I said, I'm gonna get that. And then yesterday I see a lawn chair, folding lawn chair. And just as sure as I'm talking to this camera now, like a voice say, you know what I said to the man, pick up his bed and walk. Pick up your bed and pedal. And I picked up the lunch, it was a folding like a suntan bed. That'll fold right up flat aluminum frame. And I started sleeping on that up under the same bench that I was sitting on in front of McDonald's, right next to this Philippi. It was very nice. They never called the police on me about a month in the sleep under there, under that umbrella. The police want to know what am I doing under there. You know, they can see up under there. Somebody might have told them, the black guy laying up under the thing, what is he doing? They always think the worst about a black guy, you know. So a black police and a white police came and peeped over in there. I'm in there with my Bible on my lap reading, because I read it before I get up and start moving. Say, hey, sir, you all right down there? I said, yeah, I'm all right. I'm a man of God. I always do my scriptures before I, on this really cause I'm fighting about my dogs. And they say, well, they could call the police on you, but they haven't, and we not going to bother you. Have a nice day. But the point of that is, I slept under that bench up in about, must have been about the college kids getting out then, latter part of August, and not a rain came at night when I was sleeping. It always rained before I go up under the bench and sleep, or after whatever. It didn't never do it until I got up there to by old Joe's. So things started heating up, and they wasn't paying no attention. This college kid was getting out for the summer. I eased on up to the Old Joe.
Okay, let's talk about Old Joe. What's Old Joe?
Old Joe is the Confederate, where the Confederate statue stood at. I think he General Kirby Smith, and I think that's kind of extraordinary because it's the same building I told you about. I came back when I came back from dying that second time, and my little dog laid down in the street right in front of the Kirby Smith building, and it's the same building with the school board that housed that employment application for engineering technician 2. I was a 7. You know, that means I'm 5 levels above who they wanted. And they said I was overqualified. They didn't give me the job. They kept the job for a school board employee's prospective son-in-law who was going to marry her daughter, which he did do.
So you're sleeping by the county commission building next to where the statue of Old Joe, the Confederate general, used to be.
With my head on the planter.
Now, the Old Joe was gone when they took your dogs, right? He's gone.
Right.
Recently, they had finally removed him after 100 and some odd years.
Right.
But the pedestal's still there.
Right.
Now, I saw you when it was over sometime in October, I think, again. Didn't know what was happening with your case, except for a couple of times we'd talked. And I had my son home, David, who was a lawyer for the Southern Poverty Law Center in Montgomery. I brought him over to talk to you. Now, you explained something about Old Joe is gone, but on the side of the county commission building, there's a plaque. What is that plaque? It says the Stonewall Brigade and has a whole bunch of people listed. That's where you're sleeping under. What is that plaque?
Oh, that plaque is like a Confederate memorial. Oh, they took Old Joe down. They left that relic there, honoring all these Confederate strongmen who fought, for the Slavery Act. And down to the bottom was extraordinary because, like I said, I'm a historian. So when I come to town and I see, it's back in the 70s now, in the 80s, I would see chestnut. So I was doing...
Chestnut with a T or without a T?
Well, originally, like I said, when I'm doing the investigation, I'm talking to the man. Actually, they're really chestnut, the man. They had an office supply place. And I say, well, you almost been a chestnut with the T there. He kind of laughed it off, shrugged it off. And so then I was talking with Charles, and I know the history, because like I say, my dad is Mulat. That means the white bloodline. The white man got babied by a black woman. So I know the chestnuts, one of the chestnut descendants was, I think the original funeral home chestnut. His daddy was a white man, some kind of way, pretty much really light skinned. So anyway, I said to Charles Senior, I said, "Hey man, you almost been just." He said, "Brother Lee, there's been a lot of history behind those two names that you just mentioned there." He laughed it off. So anyway, I was looking close at this plaque, what I'm just telling you about now, and I see where they're not grinding the T out of there, chestnut.
So hold on, there's a member of this Stonewall Brigade who are white folks, right? That's a list of white folks.
Right.
And you see on there's somebody named Chestnut, but there's a T gone.
Yeah, they make it look like the same people who get their office supply players who supposed to been really kin to the real Chestnut, but they did that to disassociate themselves.
The office supply place is what you're talking about?
The one that's on 6th though. Used to be on 6th.
Right.
Remember?
Chestnut office supply. That didn't have a T.
Right, they chairs in that
Okay.
building around the corner next to Papa Top there. I think it's this building too, because that was so amazing too. It was a guy, worked there named Ronnie or Rand or something, an older white guy. He was crazy about me, up and coming architect. So he gave me a little account. He let me have anything I wanted. But Bob, that was his name. I don't know how that come out. Bob, he was crazy about Monroe. So Bob was riding the passenger up by 23rd Street and 13th up there, and somebody run out and hit him and killed Bob. So automatic, the business then go around to the main Chestnut, and his wife just wasn't like, she was a racist woman. You could almost tell that she just didn't care for blacks, especially one want to have his own business like me. So I come on riding in, I wanted to get some things when they some drawing paper, and I went to sheets I was doing the church, and she said, "What is this?" I said, "Well, I got an account right now for years. I've been getting stuff right now with Mr. Bob paying my account." And they looked and looked. "We don't see your name anywhere on no account here." And then she said, "Well, Bob just let you hide that. You have no account with us. She wouldn't let me have it."
Monroe. So again, I'm bringing my son here. Here's an interesting story. The guy is a historian, and you mentioned that. Now, we did some research about the plaque. It's a Stonewall Brigade. It was put up in the early 1900s, and as I've understood, some of those were members of the Ku Klux Klan,
Right.
and they were sons of the Confederacy. And one of the commanders up there, still in the building, even as we're speaking now, correct?
Right,
It's still there.
Right.
One of the commanders who lived in Gainesville was the brother of the Attorney General of the Confederacy.
Right.
And that person enforced all the laws that were in place at that time. His brother came to Gainesville. Now that county commission building used to be the courthouse. And that was way before, I think it was before you were born, before I was born, that they, maybe I've got, no, it was probably in the 70s. They built the new courthouse, they turned that into a county commission building. They didn't remove this Confederate statue until, I think it was 2017. They left the memorial on the board. The Confederate statue was standing there, they just didn't move it. The county commission actually took the effort of preserving that plaque to the Stonewall Brigade, made the affirmative effort of putting it on the county commission building. Now, it was a little better because African Americans going into the courthouse to seek justice didn't have to see a Confederate statue. They're saying that their cause was the right cause, but they still are looking now in 2018 at the county commission building. When you walk in the back way to go to the county commission, a thing with listing members of the Ku Klux Klan. Now, after you had started going to the county commission, asking them for them to help you with your legal case, you told my other son, John, who's a civil rights attorney in Los Angeles, he was here over the holidays. You told him, I think, about one of the county commissioners after they had denied you the ability to have representation. You saw him come out to that plaque. Tell me what that was about.
John come out, the Ku Klux Klan member. I'm gonna say that the county commission.
You told him and me about a county commissioner coming out.
Yeah, you're exactly right.
And
That'll be that one called Hutchins. All right. Me, without my truck, every person just think I'm just the average black guy. That's the way I'm looked at, kind of like. But that truck, everybody, that's him. That's the guy that drive the truck. But I'm walking up this time, without the truck, I'm just walking on the sidewalk. I'm heading to the county administration building. So he comes out the entrance, like the west entrance there, come down the canopy, and he's like in this daze. He out of this world because he don't see me. Look like he just off into a world. You used to see somebody like I'm not saying he was drugs, but I'm just saying he was in that euphoria type, aroma type spirit, look like. And he just don't even see me, don't speak to me. He goes right over to this plaque, and he looking at it like he doing a seance with it or something. And then he reach out to get his, get his camera right. And just as he put it up, I was coming on down that way. He put it back in his pocket and take off. Yeah, that's my experience.
Now, how many times had you been before the county commission asking for representation at that point to help you with your case? At that point when you saw
At
him
that
out?
time, I probably about the 9th time then, 'cause like I said, it's been well over 12 now.
Okay.
Yeah, I was about good, heating up real good. And then, I called his attention that article he did too about they was gonna make changes in what it used to be, and this Ku Klux Klan was in the past, but the same thing they still doing.
Well, so Monroe, I'm just going to ask you. You may or may not know about it, but I had mentioned to you that my son David is an attorney with the Southern Poverty Law Center in Montgomery. Next to that is the Equal Justice Initiative. The Equal Justice Initiative is a lynching project that has slabs for every county where people were lynched, including Alachua County. And what you're talking about is the county commission has passed a resolution to attempt to have a truth and reconciliation process for what has happened in the past as far as institutional racism that has affected African Americans. And they've put together a plan to have truth and reconciliation about what happened in the past. When my son John was here, in the last month or so, I think, and came to the county commission to try to assist you in your case about that, the county had just moved to step 2 of starting this truth and reconciliation process. Has anyone contacted you about that?
No. No.
When you brought it up in county commission meetings, has anyone asked you about what's happening now?
No. They don't seem to care.
When John was in the courthouse, he was just here for a couple hours. You'd met him over Christmas, I think, again here, and he made a presentation for you. What did he ask the county commission to do for you?
John just happened to be there when I persisted in the chair, Chestnut, about the situation, what's going on. And Chestnut stated, it's out of our hand. The judge did this, the judge did this, the judge, she signed an order for us to do this right here, he, and this is a female judge. So, and then I asked for another comment. Nope, he shut me up, he don't give me no more time. But then your son stepped up and let them know it wasn't what the court ordered per se. They went and made the approach to them, and he quoted the statute that they have discretionary power to dismiss this case against me and render my dogs back to me. So rather than do that, they just avoided it. Okay. Did I answer the question?
Yes, it did. So one of the reasons that I'm focusing on this part today, and I want to get into some other history with you, but this morning before I came in here, I looked online and I saw that the court has entered an order dismissing your appeal. Didn't know about that till this morning.
Right.
And I told you about this. And this means that you're going to lose these dogs forever. It appears.
Right.
And,
bleak.
And I mean, that's an emotional thing, and I understand it. I've told you that I'm going to try to get David and the Southern Poverty Law Center involved to help you. I don't know what's going to happen, but I wanted to talk about the dog issue today, and thank you for going into it. And I would like to take a break and then get into some history of some other things about you. All right?
Okay, it's fine.
Okay.
So you want to take a break?
I really do.
Okay, you need that break. All right.
Ray Washington back on live with Monroe Lee at 11:33 a.m. on May 12th, 2019. And we have just had a temporary detour talking about dogs, and I'm going to try to organize this in a way that makes sense, Monroe, my questions for you. And so you talked yesterday a little bit about Alachua County and your first move here, and we talked a little bit about your experiences with your dogs here. And I want to focus now on the time that you had criminal charges filed against you here. You talked a little bit about some when you were a teenager, that you had no criminal charges ever from that point until, I guess, 1990. And in 1990, you were living in Alachua, and you were charged with having switched the licenses plates on your car. Now, you had two cars then, correct?
Right.
One was what were those cars?
A 280 Z car and a Toyota.
Okay.
Can't,
And you had also gotten a ticket for careless driving and hadn't paid that ticket, so your license was suspended. And so in Alachua County, in 1990, I believe it was, you were stopped by the police and you were charged, not taken to jail, correct, but charged
right.
with a criminal offense of driving with a license suspended and having switched the tags on your cars.
Right.
Now, the two cars that you had, you both owned, and you got the numbers wrong and they got turned around. Is that correct?
It happened at the tag issuing agents, because I bought them at the same time, so kind of just put the wrong information on the wrong slip.
And so I'm giving you the background, and I want to kind of go into what happened. You've referred to it as being enslaved, and whether that's a exaggeration or an accurate description, people can decide. But in 1990, you went to court with respect to these two criminal charges of having the wrong plates on two cars you own, or having switched the plates, and having had your license suspended. And you went to court, and what were you told? Who was the judge, and how did that go forward? Now, again, is it correct that between that incident you had as a teenager and 1990, no run-ins with the law? Is that correct?
No run-in with the law. There was one incident, and I mentioned to you, I always run circuits for 51 years. I've been running circuits. So
You're preaching?
Yeah, it's preaching in architecture and
Okay.
designing too. So I was down at Palm Beach County, just like I was with the Mercer. So I got to run my circuit out. Some kind of way I was in between cars, and I went to Sue's Motor and rented a secondhand car, just a car to get me about. So I came up to Perry, it seemed to do okay, so I started making money. I contacted him back and say, not only do I want to rent it, now since it's a secondhand car, would you sell it to me? So he agreed. So we made a bill of sale and everything. I went to an attorney. Luckily, I did.
Did that end up with any kind of criminal charge against you?
Yeah, because what he did, he did a double security thing. He set me in the car. I was gonna pay him, but then he found that the car had been redelivered back to him behind my back. So they come and got me on a charge of failure to deliver a hired vehicle. So when I went to court, I had the paperwork. Judge threw it out.
That was down Palm Beach County. They threw it out.
Palm Beach County, yeah.
Okay, but they didn't throw out it up here. So let's talk. I mean, the other charges up here.
That was yes on the charge. I let you know. I didn't want to be.
No, thank you for being straightforward about it. So you weren't charged. You were charged, but it was thrown out.
Attempted, yeah,
Right,
attempted. Yeah.
Okay. And so up here in 1990, you've been charged with having a driver's license that was suspended and having put the tags on the wrong cars.
Right.
And so you went to court, and what did they tell you in court?
Yeah, and you said correctly, I had never been in any trouble all the time I'd been here, this incident. Mm-hmm. So I went to court. Judge Buck Curtin was the county judge, and you had the prosecuting team from the state's attorney office. So I think I had a public defender coming up, because quite naturally they trying to find situations around the case, shall I say. So he said, well, you just got two charges here. That's equivalent to 5,000 community service, just 25 hours. You just go out there and plead no contest. Then we just get this out the way and just get this thing out the way, and it don't interfere with what you're doing. Because I think I had got a job at NASA by then, over in Alachua, Den Company. And so I followed instruction and pleaded no contest and received the paperwork on both charges, 25 hours. So now I remembered then that I wanted to get a job with the county, and that the manager and director engineer, Ed Culpepper, who knew me from J.D. Irvin, the Irish guy who trained me back in '79 to be an engineer, civil engineer. We used to make field trips out there to show them how engineering relates to society and what the county is doing.
In your earlier video here, you talked about using that engineering knowledge to work on several, help the building of several subdivisions here. We've talked about that already.
Right.
So now we're coming back to 90, and you were directed to Ed Culpepper, who is the director of Public Works for Alachua County.
Right.
And you're about to tell me why you approached him. There's some connection with your court plea.
Yeah. I'm going to him because due to the fact that I want to pick the kind of work I do, and something that I'm comfortable with, something that I'm going to execute to the fullest of my skills and ability.
Okay.
So
we're talking about the community service part.
Yeah. So
now, if we can back up
pick
a
a sponsor. Bit. Yeah.
You were talking about you were employed at that time working for Deng Engineering. That's
No, Den Company. Den Company is different. ENG is the engineering company. But DINH, yeah, that's the contractor with NASA.
Okay, so in the town of Alachua, in Alachua County, you were working for Den Company, and they had a contract with NASA. What were you doing for them?
Oh, I was all around technical man. I'll invent new products, and I also help build the air conditioning cooling systems for specialized books like libraries, keep the books dry. So I was an inventor. I'd invent certain cabinetry for him, but they had me on a training period through Santa Fe. But due to the fact my advanced knowledge and I was an inventor already, my activities around that firm I went way beyond training. They use that as a mechanism to get their money for training, but they was making good money off me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that was your job, and then you went to Alachua County to do your community service with Public Works. Go on.
Because what happened, I was getting a job at the same time the events was coming up with the church. So they was kind of like happening at the same time. So when I go to Ed
What do you mean the church?
I mean the church, I mean the county.
Okay.
The county, Alachua County, which is Ed Culpepper. So when I went to Ed Culpepper, I mentioned to him, you know me. You remember from Mr. Irvin's office. He acknowledged that. We upstairs at the county Public Works. And he said,
now, is this the same building that we were talking about in the
earlier?
Where the old Joe statue is?
The white Indian. No, it's the white Indian out there in Hayes.
So that's the Public Works building north on 441.
Right, I drive out there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you went there and you talked to Mr.
Ed
Culpepper and continue.
Yeah, so we up to stairs and he, you could see the glee in his eyes. The gleam in his eyes, like, I done got a fish and I jumped into my neck because he know I'm a specialist. He know I be at the Hale Plantation. He know I done designed Benwood Estate and all these other projects with Irvin. So he know I'm fully qualified as an engineer. Plus, I got all this experience since then. So he, with gleam in his eye, I got one for you. I can see him now. I got one for your project for you. And he went over there in his file and he got out. And they got a plot going, so I don't know it. To get all this land here and then get these actuary for the animals to go up on them. All right. But anyway, he sent me to Northwest 43rd Street, and it was a road stop right where they be up Blues Creek. It was a fence, a gate there, and it got on the park. They use it. That's the reference he used, the park. And then the slang word is the swamp. That's the swamp. So it's like I said, about 3/4 of a mile north of TV 20. So 23rd Street stopped there. It's dead end.
Was TV 20 there back then?
Yeah, it was there. So 43rd Street stopped there.
Okay.
So he put me out there with his engineering technician.
So 43rd Street hadn't gone all the way through to 441.
Right, stopped right there.
Okay.
Where to be at Blues Creek at.
Okay, go ahead.
Northwest 73rd. I remember it good. That's what they did. 73rd there. 73rd Street.
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be 73rd Avenue. Yeah, because streets run north and south.
All right.
All right. So, all right, his associate technician, Howard Lawson, he assists me for the first 25 hours. He's seeing that I know what I'm doing. I'm running the instrument. I'm recording, I'm tabulating, you know, the figures, how you go out there and hit a benchmark. You got a benchmark out there. It was where there was a spiking on those big power lines off to the east, I think it is. To run from that benchmark, which established benchmark elevation so many feet above sea level, and we use that as our mean. So within established elevation, I would run all the elevations of the road, would run into Blues Creek and the ditch, and then start. Then he brought some prisoners in from the local work camp. Matter of fact, I go look at that guy now. One guy named Bruce. I found a relationship with him after he got out of prison. I said, "You the guy cut that line for me, aren't you?" And I know him from that, so
Okay,
I'm sure.
so let's explain that if you can. So cutting lines, your survey lines is what you're talking about?
Yeah, that way I ain't got to do. I ain't got to be cutting lines, then running the lines too. So the survey line opened up the swamp for me to just go out there within those perimeters. You saw how far it was, like about 3/4 of a mile up, and then back in all the way to the water. So they cut those lines, but the catch is too, when you cut a line, the snake's gonna move back off the line, but they could possibly be in those perimeters between the line. So Ed, after I did the 25 hours, remember, his associate, Howard Lawson, he don't come back no more with me.
Well, did they give you any equipment to protect you from the snakes?
Yeah, he let me use his chaps for.
Chaps?
Yeah, that's
like
the
leather
thing that go to your leg, yeah.
Okay.
You know, it's kind of like it's supposed to be able to repel the fangs of a
That's
snake.
the first 25 hours?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then all of a sudden he said he need them. And then, but he said he gonna bring me an instrument. So he brought me an instrument. I looked at it. He brought me a second instrument that was tore up and damaged. So his thing was seemingly he was gonna frame me for tearing up that one, but she already probably had damage. And I called him back and I said, "Hey, Mr. Lawson, you gave me another different instrument. That's not the one I had yesterday." So he had to agree. He said I caught it, so he had to bring the instrument that I had. But then he never come back no more.
So do you have the prisoner still working with you?
The prisoner cut the line and gone.
Okay.
So they got the lines cut. But
And
like I was
what
saying,
about the chaps to protect you from the snakes?
he done took them back. But he gave me an instrument because he knew he had to give me that. It was the county on. But he said his chap was his.
So you're still surveying that, but your last 25 hours of community service, you had 25 done, you're trying to do 25 more?
Yeah.
Okay.
So now I go to Ed, and I tell him that his technician, Howard's not coming back out there with me. He's not meeting with me. He's not answering his phone. Ed told me he don't care. He wanted dead. Now what they gonna leave me with there now? He wanted dead. He got the forms already from the court, saying, you know, that sign off saying that I didn't.
Had you filled out the form saying you'd done 25 hours yet?
No, he won't give me nothing. He got everything because
Okay.
he's giving me the whole thing. See, so he's holding it. He said he want the whole thing, and then I said, "Well, how am I gonna do that? I'm just one man." He said, "You figure that out."
Now, what time was it? May or April, June?
Around about May seemed like.
Okay, May of 1990.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I go and it was a nice German girl worked to the little ice cream parlor. They had right to the laundromat at Hitchcock Foodway. It's
In Alachua.
It's a pharmacy now because they moved a big store, built a big store
In the
further
town,
to the west.
In the town of Alachua.
Yeah, but
Okay.
it's the one right by the old library. So she was like very nice. She didn't seem to care what color I was. You know, I noticed and she told me she was German, and she had a husband, a white guy, had married her when he was in the military over in Germany and brought her back. And we just all day long I'd be there talking with, and you know she tried to help me much she could with my little foundation. And people didn't like that because they said every time you see me, you put a white woman face, but she was a German girl. She didn't look at color. So
And
then
you were living in Alachua because you were working for is it construction or engineering?
remember Den Company is a NASA company.
Den Company, okay.
Yeah.
That's why you're in Alachua working for them and
Right,
coming
right.
down to Gainesville to do your community service hours.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so where I was at then, Lawson stopped coming, remember, out there with me. And I told Ed Cuphead about it. He told me that he wanted dead, so I brought a relationship and how I got it dead. That's where I was at. I'm telling you about the German girl. That's why I brought it in.
You
to
hired
get
her
the picture.
husband to work for you.
Yeah, exactly right. He worked to the post office. He was a postal worker after he come out of the Army. He was a veteran. So he had met me before, and he liked me. You know, I told him, I'm not at your wife now. I made him understand. I said, a lot of people around here don't understand a black guy talking to a white woman, but he said, no, Mr. Lee, I've been around blacks all my life. I'm professional. So I hired him, paid him like $10 an hour, $15 an hour, you know, comparable, you know, what he doing. So he helped me survey. They had another black guy named Hemp. So I had two. That'd be, I was the instrument man, and they was two did with the assistant, you know, for me. So
What was the white man's name?
I don't remember his
You don't
name per
remember?
se. I
Okay.
probably could dig it up, but you
Okay,
know,
Hemp was a black man.
Ham was a black man.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, go ahead.
Yeah. So okay, where we at now?
You hired them
no.
to help you.
Had them help me there with that. So now, I guess the 50 hours done. I go back to Culpeper and show them the time I worked and everything because I sign every day. I check in and all of that too. And now he comes up with I want the whole thing did, the whole 40 acres now. He done went above the 50 hours now. He want the whole 40 acres. I said, Mr. Culpeper, that ain't fair. He said, I need that information. You ain't signing nothing off till you do it. So I said, what you mean now? He said, I want you to draw a blueprint showing the 25-foot grids. That means like the square paper here, well, you know that paper is rectangular but square. 25, you find the elevation there over the whole 40 acres. So it took me, I don't know, several weeks to do that because you got to use your field notes, you know, to compare. Then you got to get the scale because you use it on the scale too. You just can't draw something up. You got to do it in relationship to scale. So,
Were you going out there without chaps?
well, see, I got the information. Now, yeah, open that chap. I had to work with that chap so the rest of it to get the 40 acres dead. But now I got the 40 acres dead now he telling me now he want me to draw blueprints now.
Okay.
See, he done worked me now for a couple of months, look like. Now, already, maybe 3, you know, getting all that physical, that's computation, that's called field notes.
Right.
So from field notes, you do the finished drawing. So that's what he want now. He want one showing the 25-foot grid. And that's why I know somebody was up over him. See, all this thing was a big plot to get something from the black man. We don't want to pay a black man. We don't want him to work for us, but we want to get this out of him for this satisfaction, though. We still got the Negro on our thumb. That's what it all boiled down to. Okay, so you see that. So I did that. Then I called his assistant, Al Harden, that's assistant engineer. He comes from a job at NASA and picked that drawing up, the big old 24 by 36 drawing, you know, professional drawing like we do at Urban. So he went away, and I got a call. I don't know, it was a week. It had to be a week because he looked at it. It had to be a week because I think about it. You know, he had to meet with somebody. And they said, good, but, you know, we need to know how this water running. See, the 25-foot grid, they show you how the water set and all that. You can see the little spaces account of him. Now he tells me he want another drawing of the contours. You know what the contour is, right? They show how the land wave all the way down. It's one line. And then at the different elevation, this is 106 above sea level. Then the next one might be over here. You might be 107 or either lower above elevation. So he had me to do that one. So in all, he worked me. But in between the time I was trying to get him to sign off, I get a blue card from the arrest department. Say, Mr. Lee, we got an arrest for you. We holding against you for your pickup, for your failure to execute the signed community service hours. I go back to
But then you've done hundreds of hours. You just said, okay.
Exactly right. I go to Culpeper again. I said, hey man, you got me by my whatever. I say, you need to sign this thing off. You got me doing it already. I say, you say you wanted it. I said, if you sign off, get the people from arresting me, man, keep from going to jail. He said, I want the whole thing dead. Don't worry about that. So I just kept on working. So they never did come arrest me. So I guess he told them I got him, or whatever. Yeah, I think they was into it, man, because I notified Buck Curtin.
The judge?
Told him what was going on. Did Debbie Moore, the court reporter lady, the court services lady, she didn't respond either. Nobody cared. That's what makes it so amazing.
Okay. So you've put in hundreds of hours, spent hundreds of dollars hiring other people for 2 fines that
it could have been paid. You know, really, I think about it now, but I was thinking, okay, I saved every penny I can because I'm just getting set up in time, trying to get my wife and coming from California. So this money I saved. Yeah, but I was just coming to the job at the same time it was coming.
This is how we got off track yesterday, because you talked about going to California after that. After you got that out of the way, you were waiting till you got your community service done to get to California.
Get my wife here, because now I got a job at NASA now.
Right, okay.
Know. Then I got
Okay, all right. And so there have been lots of other things that you've talked about that have happened in Alachua County, but this one, as I understand it, kind of stuck with you, and you thought maybe you could get some justice about this. Correct? Is that right?
The particular one here.
This particular one.
Yeah, but the blackmail and all that there.
About
the land.
About the land. Right?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I've been through some of that. You want me to
Okay.
elaborate on that?
Well, yes, but without going,
Right.
too far off. Who are some of the people you approached to try to get justice for what had been done to you about this?
Oh, that was so extraordinary, amazing, because it hit a nerve a few days ago at the county commissioner meeting. It's Chestnut. I know, like I said, being from a mixed family where my dad is half white, his white daddy told him how to live because he wasn't full white. He told me the same thing. Plus, his granddaddy, the African, blacker than me, Kevin Lee, born 1855, told him about what's happening and how to live. So I got all those groups of people coming in to me to teach me how to go and how to live right. So I knew that they said when Martin Luther King was killed, it wasn't sure that they never rise another black man like Martin Luther King in the South, a fighter like that. And I used to often ponder that. Why would they say that? All the great leaders we got. And as I seen it since then, because like I said, I was in 6th State when he got killed. I remember I was playing inside the house the same day they said Martin Luther King has been shot, has been killed. I seen a lot of black people running up and running these marches. Black civil rights, every day Martin Luther King Day, you see them marching in the streets. And I know this Chestnut be there over the years, riding along, or he over the Martin King Center, Civil Rights Center. I know his struggles he went through with the law and all this, and how he overcome, I believe, to back them up. So I said, well, now, all these black people, professionals in this University town, Gainesville, ought to be somebody to help me. But anyway, I was an NAACP member, actually a member. But I was thinking I was just a little minor member because they got these cards. I just bought the lowest card because you got, it's a silver card, then gold card, platinum. Yeah, they got all that set up. So I guess the gold card, the big boy, the Chestnut, they got a bigger card than me. It's like being in AAA. You could get, luxury and all that right there. You get more tolls. So anyway, I goes to Chair Chestnut, who's the county commissioner, coincidentally. And I said, Brother Chestnut.
This is Charles III.
The fourth. He's the county commissioner. He was the NAACP president now. That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, you're talking about a few days ago you went to him.
No, I went to him then. You didn't know that?
Well, no, Charles Chestnut III
I'm telling you now. I went to the son, the fourth. He was the NAACP president. That's
okay, all right. Now,
you got me now. But the daddy was the commissioner at the same time.
And the daddy was the third, and that's who you went to on the county commission.
Yeah, and I went to the son.
Who's on the
NAACP president.
Right, gotcha.
That means the big man of the county.
Right.
All right. So I goes like this with Chestnut.
Which Chestnut?
The fourth, Chucky, who's the chair now of the county commission.
Okay. His father was chair then. He's chair now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It goes like this. Mr. Chestnut, so I got this horrible situation happening to me. It's him, the fourth, the son.
Fourth.
I say, this man blackmailing me right now to serve this 40 acres of land. I did over 50 hours, man. And I say, this can't be right, man. And I ain't been going to see your dad. I think I ain't been going to see him. He could go out the back door. That's Charles III. So I finally got the son, like he talking to me. I think he called a little coffee in his little room. He's sitting there, a little young man. I can see him now. Wasn't as big as he is now. I say, Mr. Chestnut, man, this ain't right, man. How can this be? Since Martin Luther King did this, and I say, I was freed by Lincoln. Why is this here? Mr. Lee, well, we ain't got no money to fight them. That's the word he used. So then that leave me going to a couple more black lawyers in town. With this other black guy, I don't know his name, but I went back one day and he gave me a file, but he gave me a whole box of somebody else's file. Like he just got a file box of the ones he ain't gonna fight over there. And I was not supposed to take him the files back. But he didn't give me no help. And then I finally caught the daddy. That's Charles Chestnut III. In his office, I went in, and I said,
the
hey,
county commission building.
County commission building.
Where old Joe is standing outside.
Yeah, I'm
where,
upstairs
where
now.
the plaque of the
Confederate statue were.
Of the Stonewall Brigade. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm in there now to his desk. He said, "Man, just like you sitting there." And I said, Mr. Chestnut, I said, I had 50 hours community service, and I went to this guy who knew me back from J.D. Irvin, and he's blackmailing me to survey this 40 acres of swamp, man. All these snakes and all this right there, man. I said, I did all this time, and he's still working me. What the? He got rid of my face. What you do? What you do? What you do? What you do? Just like that. And I said to myself, I said to myself, he don't know I'm a world traveler. I used to kill a man for less than that. I mean, that's what I thought. Because he go a Negro up in my face like that about some white man doing to me, but he looking almost white as my daddy. All that's in my mind. You know, I mean, it's true. So I said, man, I ain't did nothing. They got me for the wrong tale. I go talk to him. So finally we got a chance to talk. A few weeks later on, he had went and talked to Ed Culpepper. He went through this, what they call the head stretching thing, what a black man do. I asked the man, why you kept wrecking the man? That's all else he had for me. And I said, that's all you got for me, man? And that's all he ever did. But when I invented the invention for running for president, he notarized my paper for me. I do appreciate him that. He didn't charge me anything. So I still kept, oh yeah, when they caught him in some trouble, some wine or something in his car, and when I saw him, we got to fight this, sign this petition for me for the governor not to fire me. I signed it because, I mean, I'm my brother. Yeah, I did that for him.
I understand what you're talking about, Monroe. You're talking about Charles III was going to be removed from office, and you signed a petition to help him years later after he hadn't helped you, is what you're saying.
Within a few years, but a year or so. That's what I was saying. I said, things come back on you. That's what I was telling his son the other day. You do this dirt, but things come back on you, because, I mean, this is true. People don't get that. God is not mocked. When you do some things, they come back on your generations to come, but people don't get it. They think they could do this dirt like the Confederacy, who my family come from. They were doing all this dirt for all these hundreds of years of these black people, my family, and they thought they were going to have antebellum forever. We're going to be able to have our black women like we want to, mixed breed our children like we want to, have this black man favor one another like he want to forever. Lincoln didn't like that, and that's why it was stopped. But it's still, you got these resistant forces still going on right now, and that's where my problem come at right now, using the money of the taxpayers to do this dirt that they're doing now, and it's continuously going on.
So, Monroe, you've referred a few times to running for office. Let's just cut that out as a separate piece. Let's talk about that separately. And so, after this thing happened back in 1990 to you,
right?
And after trying for maybe a decade to get some justice about that, you started going into running for political office, correct?
Oh, yeah, that's another important thing what you just said. I also did this. I filed liens against the property they made me blackmail, right? And I kept updating the lien up to about $10 million for I got for civil rights abuse, right? But some kind of way they go in and remove all this stuff off the record, which I think they're doing it illegally too, because I know the city's now involved with them.
No, I don't mind getting into that.
Yeah.
But let's can we stay on the subject of?
Yeah. Okay, but I tied that in because I was saying the liens. I put liens against the property up into this.
Oh, that's why you were running for office?
Yes, yeah. But that's, yeah. Okay. Because wasn't nothing working with the dirt. Okay. So what happened is something clinked on me about 2003. Yeah, 2003, that's remarkable. You remember that marked the year that I got hurt in an accident in Live Oak. The lady rear-ended me. So that pretty much killed me, right? So when you, that's another time I say I faced death. So each time I faced death, it gave me a different outlook on life. So now, a year later, I'm just getting over my paralysis. You know, I was paralyzed, these same dogs that they got.
Monroe, you know what I'm going to do? You're doing a really good job. I know a lot of this because you've talked to me about it before, right, but I'm trying to make it in a way that's understandable. So since you've gone down,
you can ask them.
That's fine. Mm-hmm. But since you've gone down the road about the dog, we'll get into that detail. You've had a lot of issues with the county, and I'm trying to keep them clean. I want to get to the issue about you're getting into politics because you mentioned it a few times. But since you brought up the Live Oak thing, let's talk about that one. That was another instance of your being having a problem with Alachua County and animal control. So let's talk about that one because you brought it up. It's okay. Yeah. And then we'll get to the politics. I'm trying to keep them as
because that's how it tied in. See, that was a segue. That was a segue. You did right. Segue.
I appreciate it. I'm just trying to make this understandable to somebody.
Right.
So you were in Live Oak in about 2002. Right. And you got hit by a car. Right. And you were essentially paralyzed for a while. Right. Okay. And in order to get around in Gainesville, you had to put together a little bike thing, correct? Right. And you had your dogs help you, pull you on the bike. Right. And that was let's talk about just that instance, not the new dog instance, but that one. So you were at Target copy that day?
Right, right.
Okay, so let's talk about what happened. Then let's get back to politics. I want you to tell
Right.
that story because you want to tell it, but go ahead.
Right. Yes, as I was saying, I got hit in 2002, rear-ended collision. I don't know whether that was meant to be or what, just leaving that as that. And like I said, I was pretty much paralyzed, a little section was moving my body, but I learned how to prop myself on the bike and how the dogs, they were smart enough to stand right there and give me enough leverage that I get this feet up that I couldn't pair with on that handlebar and ride a little bit of time like then do left and no right. And that angered some of these animal people who wanted my dogs too. See, all that was brought in right back then. Do something you can with the old Monroe. He look how he doing them dogs. He shouldn't have them dogs pulling them around here like that. It's my dogs, you know, but that's all was there. So now, that went on for a year.
So you were at the Target, you've gone into Target, the dogs had helped pull you there, you had them outside, that's
Right. Tied to the bike in a tethering pole at which they got a big old tire. Had them tied pretty secure, I thought. So here's this college girl come along with this teacup terrier on a let-out leash. You know, you can mess
What's a teacup terrier?
That's a smaller terrier dog.
Okay.
Oh, I'm not gonna answer, but I don't know what to do about it. Answer it.
Turn it off.
Yeah. I don't know how that happened. I don't ask nobody about Ray's call, but nah, cut it off. 3, 5. Oh, that's the little young man I'm trying to train to be an architect. Powering off. Okay. Where I was at there with the dogs, right? I was talking about Target.
You'd been pulled by the dogs to a place, and you were having...
The girl got teacup terrier. You asked to stride the dog.
Yeah. What do you do at Target when you go there, the copy center?
Typing. No, I be typing.
They have a typewriter that they give to
Right.
you. That
they keep out there for me. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So you're there, and you see a college girl out the window?
No, I don't see her. The kids, all the kids, the white college kid, he run in and say, Mr. Lee, something happened about your dogs outside. So I runs out. So they tell me what happened because that's what evidently happened. She let the dog out on the leash to run to my dogs in play because the average college kid, they don't think, certain dogs you don't let mix with other dogs. So they aggravate my dogs. So it's 2 dogs. They automatically thinking something that small got to be a rat or a cat or something, you know, because that's what they thinking, you know. And then 2 dogs having any kind of predator instinct. This is so small they eat, you know, just thinking like that, you know. So evidently they typed it. So I get outside, I'm telling the little college girl, whatever damage did to your dog, I take care of it. But then she get this Ku Klux Klan type crew gathering around her. Those dogs need to be put down. And they just drowned everything out that I was trying to say to her. So I just told her, I take care of everything, here's my number. So I went on home, and one of the informants informed the dog pound. So they come in my yard kicking over the water pails, then taking pictures. You know,
When you say your yard, you were living in Gainesville then?
Yeah, right down from Chestnut on First Street.
So you're on
Northwest First Street.
Northwest First Street,
Right down the street in front
south of 8th Avenue, south of the Chestnut Funeral Home.
Yeah.
Okay. And you had an area where you kept your dogs.
Right.
Okay. And what happened?
So they kicked over all the pails, and the city police came with them. City police was involved too, believe it or not. And I think the same investigator girl, she kicking over things too to make it like the dogs don't have shelter, and they put
You
on
say the
post.
same investigator girl, same as what?
Carla Dollar, whatever her name is. I believe that was her.
The one involved in this case in 2017.
Yeah,
Okay.
she's with them then. One was just like her, same attitude. So they come there, and they want to grab all my dogs, and I was just like, oh no, you're not taking Puffy. That's these dogs' great grandmama, who they was talking all the time because she's still on top of the roof of the truck.
Okay.
Yeah, and that was the great grandmama. And I said, no, she wasn't even with me. And so I identified the 2 males that were with me because Jane, the one they euthanized, they hadn't killed her yet. She was dead, and then Puffy, I wouldn't let them mess with her. So they took these dogs they got, my great-granddaddy, I think that is, and one of the great-great-uncles, the little calicos-looking dog. Yeah.
Okay.
So they took
So they took how many dogs? One?
took 2.
Took 2.
The 2 that was at Target.
You've never gotten those dogs back?
No, they neutered them and say to my they're gonna give them back to me, and then they're gonna come monitor my yard anytime they want to. You know, it's something aggravating me. So they end up not even giving them back to me.
So you never knew what happened. Now you talked about another dog that they didn't take, but sometime later that other dog was taken from you, correct?
Yeah.
Now when that dog was taken from you, the third dog, what was that dog's name?
Oh, that was Jane. She
Jane.
was in the paper with me. And that would make it so hurting now. Tarzan and Jane was the two collies that they said was so frisky that Mr. Ordendorff did. The story, they thought I was just this clown around here, and they found out I invented all these inventions. I built a hair plantation, designed a brain institute, and driving a truck like that. That just blew people's mind. And that's been named Monroe Lee band after me and all kind of stuff like that. But anyway, at that time, they were like, okay, we're gonna shut him down all the way. Seemed like that what they did.
Okay,
Go ahead.
Monroe, I really don't.
I understand. I want to stay focused, but
I'm just trying to make it so that people can understand it. And I know these things are painful, and I know that you're thinking what's happened. Let's talk about Jane.
Yeah, that's what I was trying.
That was the first time you actually got a chance to go before a judge to try to get your dog back, correct?
Right. Well, what happened is they made sure I come before a judge because this is what they was doing. I was running for president during the time he was doing this.
We'll get into that.
Okay.
We'll get into all the political stuff.
Right.
You went before a judge. It was Judge Tom Jaworski, correct?
Right.
You went in to try to make your case, and
one thing. That's why I want to stipulate, and that's why I bring that in to let you get clarity on that. I didn't win. They drugged me in, shall I say. They kidnapped Jane and killed her. You remember? Euthanized her, gave her back to me.
I'm trying to do it in chronological order.
Yeah.
You didn't know yet that she was dead.
Yes,
correct?
I did.
Oh, you did?
They had killed and brought me for animal abuse. See, they've been at me all the time.
Okay, you knew it, and then they went. Okay, I understand. I misunderstood that. Thank you, Monroe. So you were brought into court. Your dog was already dead.
Yeah, because they gave it back to me in a bag, frozen.
Oh.
Yeah.
Getting out of sequence. But go ahead. Tell me what happened in the courtroom.
All right. So now, as I said, they had kidnapped the dog. He was killing himself or had a kill. And they bring me to court for animal abuse. That means, even though they killed the dog, but that's like, the dog was so badly dead, we had to kill it, something like that. But anyway, he comes to court. And
who's he?
Edwards, the animal control officer
Okay.
who killed the dog. And he goes like this. It's true on the stand. The judge sitting there, Judge Jaworski. He said, yeah, Judge, I picked that dog up from Monroe, and I said, that's to the people who euthanized. I said, this dog is a goner, and I gave the signal to euthanize it. Judge Jaworski, this is what he said. He said, what you say? You mean to tell me, that what he telling that officer, you take the man dog, you kill it, and you bring him to court before me on animal neglect and abuse charge. If you don't get out of my courtroom, you better. That would have happened.
Okay. So I'm trying to keep it clean. A lot's happened to you. I understand this emotional. I understand that. So thank you for telling me that. So I want to go back to what prompted you to get in politics. So the first office you ran for was for county commission. Is that right?
Right.
Okay. You were a write-in candidate. Is that correct? You didn't. So in that case, that was what, 2004 or 3?
Right.
4?
Right.
Which year?
2004.
2004. I'm just trying to go through this so that your story gets out. And so you've also run as a write-in candidate several times for governor.
3 times for governor, 2 times
times
president.
for governor. How many times for president?
2 times. I ran before Rock.
Okay,
That's
2 times for president.
Right.
And 3 times for governor.
Right.
And you're trying to get your story out? Is that part of what you're doing?
Yeah, that was exactly what it was.
Okay.
That's exactly what it was.
Okay. As a write-in candidate each time, if you get any votes, those get counted, correct?
Right.
Okay. Now I want to go forward to this year while this case is going on. Andrew Gillum is running for governor. Now, you told me that back when you were working on the highways, you met Andrew Gillum's father. Let's talk about that. How did that happen? And I'm going to try to tie all this in. How did you meet Andrew Gillum's father?
I did the bridge replacement down in Key West, you know. They were down at Miami at the time, you know, because he like me, danced around different places, the old man. Mm-hmm. So he knew me as a little young they called me a jitterbug. That meant I was young, but I was out there working with them. And I didn't even know he kind of was a fan of mine until, like I said, I was in Tallahassee periodically for 40 years, almost like here, doing churches, architecture, engineering. And out here, this morning talk show, host conservative, talk about this Gillum ain't doing this, Andrew Gillum, this Andrew Gillum ain't that.
Can we go back just to the 80s?
Yeah.
I'm not talking about Andrew, I'm talking about his father.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting to, but it's part of it, yeah. But I don't know he's...
Is it okay if I direct you to, just the only reason I'm
That's
doing
right. I'm glad you're doing that.
is because I'm trying to get,
maximize
again, this is sort of there's a thing called memory studies. It's
right.
how you learned about it and when you learned about it. It's kind of important.
Right.
So you knew Andrew Gillum from working beside him on the highway, the bridge, correct?
Affiliation work team.
Right.
I didn't work exactly with him, but I'd be with a team that's doing a certain part. I'm doing the road, he doing the bridge, I'm rubbing the wall, stuff like that.
I'm not trying to put words in your mouth.
That's okay.
I'm just trying to tell
you're
you,
just trying to get understanding.
just to make sure that I understand it
Right.
and then keep
That's
you
fine.
focused on it.
Right.
And so Andrew Gillum's mother was born in Madison about the time you were. Is that correct?
Yeah, about the same period.
And she was a McDaniel? Is that
No, she kin to us on the Jackson side.
the Jackson side?
Jackson, like Andrew Jackson.
She's some relative of yours.
Mm-hmm.
She moved down to Miami. At the time you met Andrew Gillum's father, he was married to this woman from Madison who was maybe about your age, a year or two older. Is that about right?
Right.
Okay. And so you're about to get into how you found out about listening to the radio show. You found out about his son.
You didn't know he was black until...
Oh, you didn't know until you heard on the radio show.
But I didn't know. I just hear this talk social talking about Gillum. You were cutting him down, like he don't know nothing, he don't know this. So anyway, like I said, 7 months back, almost a year ago, I'm down to
Okay, I want to get
store.
into that. I'm going to lead you into that.
This-
but
the
I'm
day,
trying to
okay.
make sure. I'm just
Yeah, that's fine.
No, I'm really not trying
That's
to.
fine,
I'm
that's
not trying to
fine.
control your voice.
No, that's good.
I just know that people are going to be listening to this, and they won't. You have so much going on up here that you can't. Know it.
Yeah,
and
and sometimes you just drift off. Yeah.
And so you're in town about 7 months ago is where you're going to, right?
Maybe a year.
Maybe. Well, it was you thought.
Because I'm getting ready to run for governor. At this time, what I'm telling you about.
Okay.
The third time.
Okay.
So I'm in town.
And so you're about a year ago. So before or after your dogs were taken away?
Probably before.
Okay. So go ahead.
So I'm at Family General Dollar, and this guy woke up. One of the guys I've been knowing had to be Brother Gillum, and he's talking about the truck.
Talking about his father who lives in Gainesville.
Yeah.
Okay.
He talking about the truck and he call him a name. I say, you still know me? He said, yeah, man. We go back a long ways. And then I said, write your name down. Then I'm gonna call you when I come back. And he wrote down Gil. I said, wait a minute. Are you kidding that same guy in Tallahassee? He said, that's my son. And that's how I found out. Then he asked me later on if I ain't.
Okay.
Yeah, will I hit him? Yeah.
So your dogs are taken away from you. This is before your dogs are taken away.
Yeah.
And your dogs are taken away. You're back here in Gainesville trying to get the dogs that we're talking about now, the ones that Animal Control has right at this moment. And you're sleeping next to the old statue of Old Joe, sleeping under the plaque on the wall of the County Commission building to the Stonewall Brigade. You go down University Avenue to catch the bus. Is that right? Or you just happen to be at Checkers? What was that? The night of the Democratic primary.
Oh yeah. I'm down there by Checkers, and I'm coming by the bus on the bicycle.
You're on your bike and you're coming by Checkers on West University Avenue near downtown.
Right.
Between downtown and the university.
Right.
Okay. I'm just trying to put it.
Yeah.
Make sure.
Oh, that's fine. Yeah. And Pop Gillum, that's what I called him. I say, Monroe. He said, now look now.
You see him in front of Checkers. He's waiting for the bus.
Yeah, across in front of Checkers, because over that University of Florida building. And he goes like this. Now look, man, I'm not trying to dominate you, cut you down for running. You're gonna run. You're like my son. But he say, he been chosen as a Democratic Party candidate, and I know you independent. You already own it. You was on there anyway. But he said, if you change your mind, I want you to advertise for him. So I said, okay. So he gave me his brochures. So I started advertising for him. I said,
Okay. So the night of the Democratic primary, he wins, correct?
yeah,
Gillum wins.
yeah.
And you go to the Alachua County Democratic Executive Committee.
But
Go
yeah,
ahead.
but now
Did I leave something out?
yeah, I make sure I didn't leave nothing out. Cause what happened is he was going to that night they was going to vote when he asked me would I advertise for him. It was before the election thing. So I didn't know he was gonna win quite naturally, but I was doing it cause pops they do it. So when he did it, when he won, I don't know if he see me again or what. That's when I decided I'd go ahead on and go full foot and I get out of it. That's why I'm a Democratic thing with
So
you.
you went to Kirby Smith. It was called Kirby Smith then. I think they've taken that Confederate name off it since you were there, but when you were there, it was still Kirby Smith. You went in and told them that you were going to be out there campaigning for Andrew Gillum, and you knew it was going to be a close race, and you were going to go to Madison where you knew people and walk around and try to get votes for him. That,
Not only Madison, all my circuits I was running because I was
Okay.
running in Florida. You know, anyway, I was going all over Florida. Yeah.
and you did that, right?
Right.
And it was a close race. The head of the Democratic Executive Committee is Cynthia Chestnut, mother of Chris Chestnut and wife of Charles III. You asked for some people to volunteer with you to go into areas that you knew, and you did the best. You didn't get any volunteers. You did the best you could. Andrew Gillum lost by a few thousand votes. You got some votes for him, but not all. All right. We're back to your political aspirations. When you told the Democratic Executive Committee you're going to support him as a runoff, what did you do to make sure that you wouldn't get any votes, that they would go to him? What did you do?
Oh, I thought I better get on up to Tallahassee because some people seem like they want to use me to get him. But I had all that on my mind too. It's white guys that walk to me and say, "Mr. Lee, you running? You running again?" And then I'll go like, "Yeah, I'm running again." I vote for you forward that Andrew Gillum guy. I said, huh? I went to school with him, stuff like that. And I said, wow, but they don't want him to win. He done been the Democratic candidate. I say, now, if they talking bad about him, I'm just writing. And, I know he got more pull with him there. So I said, I'm going to get him up into the Democratic people, since I knew, to the election division and let them know in hand. So I typed up my little letter and went there and delivered it to him.
Withdrawing officially from the race so you
Yeah.
wouldn't get any votes that would be taken away from you.
Exactly right.
Okay.
So they was pretty mad. This true. They just, why you getting out? I said, no. I said, it's a brother. I'm not gonna fight against a brother. I hope he got a chance to win there. And they made me write up something else. I had to write up a second document because they just wanted me to talk about me and his daddy.
But you were off the.
Yeah, they finally took me off then.
Took it off.
Yeah,
Okay.
but they made me write a second letter.
All right, Monroe. What I'm trying to get at, you've got so much in your life. I'm trying to bring it because I've listened to it before, and it kind of makes sense, and you make sense here. But I'm just trying to help focus.
Mm-hmm.
And so you ran for county commission. You run 3 times for president. You run twice for president, 3 times for governor. Those things are your way of getting out and trying to get your story.
Right.
I think you told me that one of the times when Charlie Crist was running for governor, that you went down, was it Tampa, and went to one of the banquets there to speak?
Yeah, when I was running for governor the first time, I ran as a Democrat quite naturally. I wasn't a write-in, I was a Democrat. We went to, what they call it, Haines City, that's in Polk County, to this big golf club there for the Roosevelt and Kennedy dinner. Yeah, that's one.
Okay, so you've been trying to get your story told.
Right.
And you have an opportunity to tell it here now. And I've wondered about this, so I'm going to ask you. There are a lot of people who give up, who have things done to them and they give up, but you haven't given up. And I'm just wondering, I know you read the Bible a lot and you have that inspiration. I've just wondered, and I don't know if I've asked you this. I don't think I have. Did Governor ask you in 1972 sending somebody to help you? Does that have anything to do with your belief you could?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really firmly believe that. I mean, it's like I was saying just now. It's true. Deep in my heart, I just know that God has sent me here on this mission, this earthly mission, to do a lot of things good what I've did. Just for example, by me being dark skinned and my daddy thinking that they tell him I was gonna be black when I grow up, that he knowing he's half white, that they just can't be right here. For me to have a white daddy and this boy that I'm thinking is gonna be the one, that special number that's given in the black community, that one that might be the one that try to pull us up out of where we at. That means just keep the blacks moving up in a positive way. They used to say the bottom rail come from the top, but they were talking about a wood fence rail, not the rails on the track here. Rails in a wood fence, the fence they used to make in the old day, keep cars in. You go out and chip pine, cut pine, and get long slats, 12-foot pieces, maybe that, and that's called a rail. So they used to say in our slavery ancestors, the people doing it so bad, even after slavery, they say the bottom rail gonna come to the top. And my stepdad always reminded me of that. So his brother was like me. That's growing up. Booker T, his name was. His mom had 13, 20-something children, and daddy married her. She was 13. But anyway, he says his brother was like me. And that's a little boy. He telling me this. I said, "What that, Mr. Charlie?" He said he could see things. I said, "Huh?" He said he started preaching one day to these white folks in Madison about the bottom rail will come to the top. Mm-hmm. I mean, the civil rights. He said it took him away. He never came back. Took him to the mental institution. Started putting drugs in him and sending out people from them towns. Oh, this is the one here. We got to stop him. So throughout history, it's been those black people that was inspired, like Martin Luther King, and man do the Confederates. They do everything they can to destroy him. So that's back what I was telling you earlier about these black politicians who haven't helped me all these years and seen me out there protesting. And they go, "You done did more for me in this 13 months than they did in 40 years. You know, that's to say something there. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, that's a good answer. But when you, what was it that made you write to the governor, ask you? I mean, most people give up. I mean, what was it? You're in jail. You're a teenager, and I'm not asking that because I want an answer. I just what made you think that you could make a difference?
Well, as I said too, you remember I got converted on that same road, Picnic Street, that the jail was on in 1968. So now, this is just 4 years later that I'm an 18-year-old boy, now 14 when I got converted, facing this enormous charge on me. And God now put a man in jail, the worst place in the world you think you could be, that now went through worse things than that in World War II, and now he's getting hanged, from what he told me, the rope around his neck, and it's miraculously, the phone rang and get a reprieve. Now I'm meeting this same man, and I wrote the governor and chanced that it might happen. Now you know what that happened too since then? The governorship has been neutered, excuse my language, since then, because what I'm saying to you, Scott, for years, this Governor Scott, had repeatedly, I got letters stated that he and Pam Bunny sent me. Well, the governor's hand is tied, like Chuck Chestnut was saying the other day. The governor's hand is tied. Executive powers don't allow, it's separation of powers, don't allow us to intervene in any court cases. All that's been did. The governor did it back then, but it's a new thing now, so they working hard, continuously to neuter all efforts of somebody like Governor Askew who made a difference in a young man's life like mine. So did I answer your question? So that's what caused me not to give up, that God got people in place to help you.
Well, this morning we found out that the court has ruled against you on your dogs. Diamond, Tadpole, Cynthia, Ginger, Sidekick, Beefy Bear. 2 of your surviving birds, Sunshine, Morning Glory. Animal Services let Blue Boy Go, Sky was killed in that rainstorm. You have a hope you're going to get these animals back.
That's so amazing, cause I had to face that just now. I had to walk on eggshells with you out there because he's a man like you. And I understand why you can't take these other cases, because they really ain't your style to fight. And you see
What
how
other
you did.
cases are we talking about?
Yeah. No, I'm just saying.
What other
No,
cases?
The other cases.
Cases about trying to get damages? Is that what you mean?
No, you're saying about things that's been did to me, period.
Oh, in the past?
Yeah, just general. Saying that decent as you are to do what you did, that's my point. So now that's why I'm trying to work on eggshells, realizing and hearing what had inspired. Okay, I feel solidated that I stayed with you, because you remember the other day I told you when I left, when I went in place, you told me, and I told you the devil's on my shoulder picking at me. All that mean is you hearing things, and if you react sometimes, see, what happened, Paul said in the Bible, and you got to always remember that you mean plural anybody. Anger rests in the bosom of fools. That means you do something when you're angry. Okay, so now, I wasn't angry, but I was at a point of anger. Okay, my anger came up when I sat in that commission room all day long. You had the days mixed up. That wasn't your fault. You didn't meant to, but I was letting, I was thinking, and that's what man do in his mind. Okay, now I did what the lawyer said do. I'm here. He got the days off, but that wasn't your fault because the day was off. But I'm there. But I mean, all that was crying in on me. Then the way that chestnut had did, tried to shrug it off like his problem having his brother. It wasn't and his fault. His dad, what they did to me, and that was contrary to what I had said, and all that pressure was on me. So I always wanted to leave and just ride away and just forget the dog. But see, as it is now, they almost the devil want me to forget them now. But that gave me an extra breath to say that I was listening at you the other day, and came on back and let you did what you had did, and then you had did extraordinary stuff too for me while I thought you had abandoned me, because that's what I was thinking. Well, this lawyer letting my case collapse, but you had no other choice. This is the best route it could have been, because otherwise it would have been you pulled your walk out with the baby not drowned out there in the water. But right now, there's a chance that the baby can be thrown on a life raft. That's the way I look at it.
But I guess I'm asking not about me so much, just about not giving up on a case.
Yeah. Oh no, I was talking about the case that has been ruled.
Right.
That's what you said, yeah.
I understand. Do you think you'll ever have your dogs back?
Yeah, I got faith in it, because sometimes when you're fighting with the enemy, if he don't throw no punches, you don't know how to block. So he done throw his punch, and it's been recited right here. They just say, because I didn't do something, I wasn't in position to file no initial brief. Yeah. They left me in no position to file. I had nothing to file, as you said.
Well, that's a side issue, but that's fine to go down. I think it's important to know how systems work. One of the reasons that you haven't been able to have a hearing in your case is because the county didn't record the case. There is no record of what happened there, and you can't appeal something that there's no record. You've tried to get a record made. The county has objected to a record being made. They've said that they told you that they didn't record it because they wanted risk management. In other words, for you not to be able to appeal. There's nothing to appeal. There is no record. There's no recording of what happened. In the courthouse, there's a drawing of your house in Perry showing that that's where the animals live. There was testimony given by Shands Hospital about what you've said. You had another witness come in that was subpoenaed. It was your testimony, but there's no record of it. There's no record of it because the county made a choice not to record that. Now, there's one other thing I think that since you've gone down this road, I think it's important. Several months ago, you started seeing that this was happening to other people. You went out, had a list of every person in the last 2.5 years who's had their animals taken away from them with a court case under this statute. What is common about every single person for the past 2.5 years? Is there anything what's common about those people and you?
Oh, African American.
Every single one.
Mm-hmm.
Every single person who's had a dog removed by the court and not had a recording made of their court hearing.
And you don't believe this right here now. Extraordinary too now. All of them as black as I am. Ain't no red ones in the bunches, they might say.
So you went to
No
their houses to see them,
Yeah,
and they're
yeah.
all dark skinned. Okay.
Yeah, all of them black, dark. Just like, it's saying something.
You think you're going to be able to make a difference in making this?
Yeah, because I'm going to stay on it. I kind of like, I done got going into 2 years of my life into it. My ministry been stopped. Then I shambled that. I got started over right now with more dogs. Like I said, I know these dogs going to be dead. One day they will be dead with me. But it's always going to be an end. But just the idea, I put all this money in these dogs, thousands and thousands of dollars in care and training, and somebody's going to come and snatch them away from you with a lie. And like they getting away with it. I don't get that. You know, it take you sometimes want to go out and you start doing, I won't even say, imagine what I thought about I could do, which wouldn't make no sense at all. But I'm still holding on to God's hand, because I know if I take any other rights, the devil see. So that's what a man I got. I always realize the devil is right there to push you off the edge, and you ain't getting nowhere with what he tell you to do, but to make you like a fool. So I'd rather go down as a righteous man, like Jesus went down, rather than just do some foolish act. So I'm gonna ride this out.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Monroe. That's all I have. Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.